Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome in. Ben and Woods 97.3. The Fan. So good to be here with you. Live on your radio, on the FM dial, comes in crystal clear. The Odyssey app, you can find us on YouTube as well. Go search Ben and Woods if you want to watch us on your TV. Look okay in high def, on the big, beautiful TVs. Just search Ben and Woods. You'll find us there. Click like on that bad boy. And Twitch as well. If you're a Twitcher, you can search 97.3 The Fan. Find us there. A lot of ways to get us in you. Let's get our heads right on a Wednesday. It's hump day. No real news to report as usual, such as the life of a Padres fan, but that's where we are today. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
We don't have news to report. We do have reports to discuss.
We have speculation to speculate on and reports to parse through and out, I guess.
No crisp, hard news from the source.
No, of course not. To my left is Benjamin Higgins. Oh, my God, this guy is embroiled in a 5-year saga of, trying to get into his work email here at 97.3 The Fan. Today, of all days, is the day he decided, you know what, the old Wi-Fi in here is a little spotty at times, so I'm gonna log into the hardwired computer. And we've been going strong now for about 25, 30 minutes. You still haven't been able to get in.
No.
5 years later. Well, how long have we been here? 4 years?
I've never really had a problem with the Wi-Fi until yesterday. And yesterday was a disaster. And so I said, let's just go hardwire today. But I can get in anywhere else. I can get in at home, my phone, my laptop.
Why do you have
but
to be
here at work,
such
I cannot get in.
Why do you have to be such a rebel?
I'm not a rebel. I try
you bring
to do
your own laptop
I do what works and is the most efficient for the show. And it's always been the best choice.
Clearly.
And until yesterday, I had no problems with it. But I thought, okay, well, if it's going to be a problem, I better do something different.
So why didn't you just do this big computer? It's here for you the whole time. Instead of you have a laptop that you have to wedge in front of the big computer every day. You can remove your laptop. You sit back. You got all this room. Look at this. Look how much space I have. I can't even touch the screen. Yeah, there's all this room for activities here. I don't have a laptop,
like if I wanted to play checkers or something in front of me.
If you want to play solitaire in front of you, you could. Why do you have to be such a rebel?
I've never been able to log in. That's the problem. Really, the entire time I've worked here.
Have you ever tried?
I just did, and it has failed. I had help from the engineer.
You know why?
I failed again.
They don't think you work here.
They don't know who you are.
They don't know who you are. You're lucky that your key
Apparently
card
not.
works.
Apparently not.
I'm telling you what, guys. This is like it's such a saga in here before the show. Now, again, if you're new to the program, Ben works television at night. Okay, so Ben he does this show. He goes home for a while, works out, does whatever, runs some errands. Then he's got to turn around at about 2 o'clock and then drive all the way to Channel 10. And then he gets home at about 1 o'clock in the morning. So
I think it's a safety issue. With my computer, I'm the only one who uses my computer. This computer, everybody uses it. Different people log in.
So what? Everyone uses this one? What is it safe for?
You're okay sleeping around with different computer mates, and I like to be monogamous with my computer.
That's actually creepy to me. That no one can look at my computer. No, so Ben works the late shift and the early shift, and so we don't get a lot of FaceTime together as a show. Our only time really to, get the motor running, head out on the highway, is when Ben rolls in at about 5:40 this morning, 5:35, I'd say. But you spent the whole 25 minutes trying to log into your computer.
I did. This is the last thing I wanted to do. But I thought for the show and for the YouTube stream, it was probably the best thing to do. And I thought, well, this should only take 5 minutes. We'll figure this out. No, I still haven't figured it out.
Sorry, 5 years and 5 minutes is how long it's taken for you to log in. So you still haven't gotten to the bottom of it.
Never, haven't figured out. Have not changed the password. Put in the new one. Still doesn't work. Probably have our boss Michael listening, who's going to say, "Why didn't we come to him?"
He's going to rip the. Great. Now you're going to get the engineers in trouble again.
Wasn't trying to.
Michael, we're also out of paper in the printer, just as an aside. We have a rundown Paulie prints out every day, and he walked in and he goes, well,
don't worry,
there was only room for one. Who wants it? So, I mean, here we go.
I will fill up the printer.
Here we go
paper.
on a Wednesday. No paper.
The water
is cold.
There was a urinal cake missing from the bathroom as well.
Oh God, I'm so pissy. I'm just pissy. I've been pissy for days now, and I don't really know.
It's it's this unknown that you feel like it's hanging over your head before we can move on.
That's part of it, I think.
I think you need to come to grips, though, that if there is no news, there may never be any news. Most teams don't have to announce that we're not changing personnel. They just end the season and
keep
you
working.
just assume, unless you hear an announcement that someone's fired, everyone just keeps working at their job. We don't have to make an announcement every day. Hey,
we're still
here. This is our job. We'll just assume that we come back tomorrow until we don't.
We would if we were in the toilet and the contract was maybe up, but I guess their contracts aren't up. AJ's got a couple years left on his deal, and Bob's got one left on his. So if they just try to come in and be like, what? Business as usual, I'm going to flip out. My hair's going to fall out. I promise you that. Well, thank you guys for being here this morning. But, yeah, I saw, again, there's just a lot of, hey, this could happen. And this may be happening, and I'm not sure if this is happening, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyway.
This definitely could happen.
I saw an article published yesterday. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but it said continuity could be the Padres for benefit or downfall. And I'm like, no S, of course it could be. Like, what are we talking about here? So I don't know, man. I'm just pissy. I've been pissy. Bo was pissy yesterday. I was pissy back at him. It's just a whole pissy family. Hannah's pissy all the time. Everyone's just pissy right now. And I don't want to give the Padres all that rent in my head. I don't think it's just that. I don't know what it is. I don't really know what it is. But, I'm going to do my best to figure it out and have some fun today because this is the place where I have a lot of fun.
Well, you dragged yourself out of bed and you got yourself here. Which apparently, if I'm watching your Twitter feed, was not necessarily 100% going to be the case.
I got a couple things to talk about on this NBC7 San Diego tweet that came out last night. I had to laugh because the title of it was, "What is bed rotting and is it good for you?" And I thought, I think I know what they're talking about. There's a picture of a couple sitting in bed. They're both smiling. She's holding her phone up and pointing like, ha, 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 and he's got his arm behind his head.
Stock photo.
Yeah, stock photo. He's laughing like, hey, no kidding. So it says, what is bed rotting and is it good for you? The term means to spend basically the entire day or even the weekend in bed, doing everything from napping and doom scrolling to watching TV and eating. It says, what to know about the Gen Z trend. And I'm like, hang on. Gen Z is not getting credit for bed rotting. They are not getting credit for bed rotting. I used to go out on Friday night and not get out of bed till Sunday. I've been bed rotting for decades. And now they're like, well,
that means just basically
just
lying in bed, eating in bed, watching TV all day, napping, and never getting out of bed all day.
Bed rotting is a self-care trend that spread on TikTok. No, it didn't. People on TikTok are like, hey, watch this. This is called shampooing. I'm shampooing my hair. I want to die. I want to take that app around the throat and choke it. And then shave its head.
Well,
Watch me. This is called the moonwalk. I just made this up.
Obviously, people have been laying in bed for a long time.
Bro.
But the idea that it can be good for you is I think, the revolutionary concept here.
Oh, it's fantastic. It says...
Because when I grew up, the thought of laying in bed all day is something you're ashamed for. And
you don't feel...
You might need to go see a therapist about, hey, if you can't get out of bed, you've got serious issues.
You don't feel great. After it, usually you don't feel.
That's what I thought. But apparently,
you don't feel great.
This is a new self-care technique.
But it doesn't mean that it's bad for you. I had in my younger, wilder days. I mean, I don't. Was it bed rotting or was it just too hungover to move? Maybe a little of both. But I can vividly recall going out on Friday night and blowing it out. And I mean, as hardcore as you can get. And then literally Sunday being like, I should probably go outside and get some fresh air, get something to eat. Like just 36 hours of lying in bed watching Goodwill Hunting on VCR and the Cable Guy on VCR. It was like my whole college weekend. Everybody knew Woodsy's good for one night. One night out. There will be no second night. There will be no follow-up.
But is this idea like, hey, yesterday we had a really productive day. We went out, we exercised,
Right.
we got to bed at a reasonable hour. But now let's just sit in bed all day, not hungover,
Right.
just as a conscious choice of what are we going to do today? Well, we could go to the park. We could go on a road trip. We go on a hike. No, let's just sit in bed all day, and that's what we've chosen to do.
Like, I looked like the Bucket family in college, just lying.
Grandma Josephine,
Yeah,
and Grandpa
from,
Joe,
from
and
Charlie and the Chocolate
George
Factory.
and Georgina.
Just almost sewn to the bed. You know what I mean? Just your legs start to meld into the sheets.
I hate those scenes in that movie.
It's the most.
I can smell those
It's the
scenes.
most disgusting. It's a horror movie, is what that is.
Yes.
That movie is a horror movie.
I've got a golden ticket.
So creepy. I will rot in bed like the Buckets. But when you have kids, number one, and you're married most of the time. Hannah, by the way, if I said, hey, I got an idea. You know, we've both been a little stressed, anxiety, whatever. Why don't we rot in bed for a Saturday? She would look at me and she's like, why don't you just pack your bags and just get the hell out of here right now? If I'm in bed past like 7:15 on a Saturday, she's like, okay, let's go. Like, it's gnarly. Like, you can't, there is no sleeping in. There's no rotting in bed. None whatsoever. I said 2 in my tweet. I said, you know, I love being a dad more than anything in the world, but I do miss a good, solid bed rot. I said, I usually only get about 2 a year.
Now, she couldn't
really
do it,
one.
even if she was living with no kids by herself. She could not
Ben,
just lay
she
in bed
couldn't
all
do
day.
it if I duct taped her to the bed.
I don't think I could do it either, actually.
At all?
I don't think
as
so.
As tired as you are.
I couldn't do all day.
Yeah, you could.
I don't think so.
God, I think you could.
I need.
If you had a
I get
whole-
antsy, and I feel like I need to get up and do
If you had-
something.
it's
No
at some
guilt.
kids,
point.
no wife.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's myself that needs to get up at some
maybe
point.
you know what, maybe he's right, because I go back to our first spring training trip when you didn't have. We got in on Sunday afternoon. You did not have your Sunday television broadcast. We just had to be up at 5 a.m. for work the next morning.
No, we had to be up at 4 a.m.
4
because we
a.m.
had a
'cause we did have to
50-minute drive, thanks to Adam, our boss.
Yes, 4 a.m. But we got into our hotel. We checked in at like 4 p.m. We had nothing to do.
Nothing.
Just said, everyone was like,
Scattered.
I'm not talking to you
See
guys.
you in the morning.
I will see you at the car in the morning. And Ben comes stumbling out 15 minutes late. I went to the casino last night.
Yeah,
I had to do
late.
something.
He
I
could
I
not
couldn't-
relax.
I could not.
What
for
time did you-
like
like,
6 hours?
You
I
went
could
to the
not-
casino from like 1 to 3 a.m. You just took the rental car.
No, it was not. You guys went to bed like at 4:30, and I'm going, I can't sit here. I'm not going to fall asleep until 10, 11. I can't sit here for 6 hours and do nothing.
Oh, God.
I can't do it.
And now I get about one a year. It's usually Paulie and I, when we go to fantasy camp, we blow it out the first night we get there, and then we don't even speak, and we rot the next day, and then we get up and play golf on Sunday, and then go check into fantasy camp. I look forward to it maybe as much as I look forward to fantasy camp. The day where I like text my wife, I'm like, I'm hungover, I love you, tell the kids I love them, see you later. It's like my one day a year to completely shut it down, just completely detach, and I really look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it this year even more. But that's bed rotting. So I'm a big fan of it. I do believe it can be beneficial to you. But if you're laying in bed with the covers over your head because you're sad or depressed, go see a therapist. That's different. If you really are like, I just need a break, I think it's not the worst thing you can do to relieve a little bit of stress.
So you agree with the TikTokers?
No, I
Good
agree with
self-care.
myself, I've been a fan of this for 100 years. TikTok. God dang it. They take credit for everything. Watch this. I cut my steak. Has anybody ever done this before? What a life hack this is. No, you're right. Because we used to just pick it up with our bare hands and eat it. Oh, you can actually cut it and then eat it? It's easier to chew and digest? No kidding. You guys are geniuses. So, yeah. No, you guys didn't invent this. Don't take credit for it. So, anyway. All right. I'm done. I'm done for the
All right,
day.
we got the start of the baseball playoffs to get into yesterday, Boomer Woods. We'll talk about Manny Machado's news. We did have actual news yesterday involving the Padres' third baseman. Adam Jones will join us at 7:35. Have we determined, is he in Milwaukee?
He is in Milwaukee.
He's in Milwaukee, where I think the Diamondbacks pulled off the biggest surprise of day one of the postseason. So we'll get into all of that coming up. Daily Diddy selection is next. Artists who met an untimely demise, and I actually got a suggestion from a tier 1.
Now I know what you're going to do.
That I'm going to go with for this one because I thought, yes, I like that idea.
It's a very Ben pick, too.
It is. I agree. Yeah. So we will get to that coming up next. It is Ben and Woods. Good morning to you. Kelly's standing by with our first check of traffic here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
proud San Diegan right here. No, was born in Philly though.
He actually, I did some research on this because I got the suggestion in my Twitter feed. Let me see, where is it? Well, thanks to the Kyle, the Tier 1, who said today, it was last week, but 50 years since the world lost Jim Croce, who died at just the age of 30. But I don't know how much San Diego he actually had in his life. His wife, Ingrid, of course, became a lifelong San Diegan, opened several restaurants, including Croce's, Jazz Club downtown, a long time. She started San Diego Restaurant Week, was very big in the community for many, many years. But Jim Croce, of course, was the artist who was taken too soon, met the untimely demise.
In a plane crash.
Yes, in a plane crash. This is Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce, not Bad Leroy Brown.
Have you, you've seen, obviously, you guys have seen pictures of Jim Croce. How old, now you did some research.
I'm looking at the picture of him right now. He died at 30.
30?
Yet his photograph died at late 40s, maybe?
Late 60s, I feel. If there was, I mean.
People just were older back
They
back
really
in the day.
were. I saw a meme going around of people, like your favorite TV characters from the 70s and 80s. And Edith Bunker, there was a picture of Edith Bunker, and she was 44 from all of the family. I'm like, I'm 4 years older than her. Wilford Brimley was like 44 in this picture. And I'm like, I feel fantastic. Like, I kind of don't like myself a lot, and I go, I feel fantastic.
He was 49 when he was cast in the role of Cocoon, which was about, senior elderly people, and whatever the alien thing that they discover. I forget what the movie's about, but
he's a year older than us in that picture. He looks like he's 75 years old. It's just incredible. Just incredible. That's a good Diddy selection, Ben. Jim Croce, Time in a Bottle. Time is a flat circle when you are talking about the San Diego Padres. That is for sure. It literally is just a flat circle.
Time was what we were all interested in when the Padres did announce yesterday that Manny Machado had his tennis elbow surgery repaired by Dr. Neil Elatrosh.
I think you like saying Elatrosh.
I do,
because I like it too.
Well,
it's a fun
so
name
many
to say.
people can't say it. They look at it and they just give up.
Elatrosh.
Yeah, it's Elatrosh.
Elatrosh.
So I had some people who are mad because he is an LA doctor and works with the Dodgers, but
come on,
he's the best. Come on, he's the guy. He's the best. You go to the best, and you get your surgery done.
I mean,
he did Aaron Rodgers' repair, his Achilles repair. The top guys tend to go to him, and Manny's a top guy, so you send him to Dr. Elatrosh, and you try to get back as soon as possible.
Bro, if I thought Dave Roberts could fix my knee, I would let Dave Roberts fix my knee or whatever.
This is not a controversy.
It's not a controversy. It shouldn't be.
They gave a wide range of the recovery time for Manny Machado, 4 to 6 months, which is fine. That was kind of, Manny was pretty vague. He said 6 to 7 at some point. We heard 4 from doctors as a kind of a baseline point as well. The 4, though, if he's really back in 4, that's before spring training even starts. And he could come back and have a full spring. If it's 6, well, that starts taking us right to the start of the regular season, maybe not until after the Korea trip to get Manny back. So the difference between 4 months of recovery and 6 months is actually somewhat significant here. Now,
about 60 days.
Well, yeah. But, now, had he had the surgery a month and a half ago, we know he'd be back for spring training. The 6 months would be over.
Well, so here's the thing. He's not an old guy by any stretch. When he, almost broke his ankle in half and had to go through rehab and, 6 hours on the training table every day to get back on the field, he did it. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried that he's going to get fat and happy sitting on the couch with his tennis elbow. I'm not. That's just not a guy I worry about. I know he will be back on the field. I think he's proven that. I think he's earned that respect.
I don't think Manny Machado does a lot of bed rotting.
I doubt it very much. I don't think Yaine would let him. If I had to guess, just knowing them a little bit, I don't think she would let him rot in bed all day. Nor do I think he would want to.
Now, maybe, the first couple days after surgery, you can't get up and you have to sit there. But once he can start that rehab, he's going to attack it.
Yeah, no question. And I think, I'm not going to speculate on when he'll be back. I have no idea. Manny doesn't know yet. It's got to it's all based around how it responds and how he does in therapy and all that. But, if he's on the shelf at third base for a month, it's not going to be the worst thing ever. We've got guys that can fill in better than admirably. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be Matt Batten down there. It's going to be Ha-Sung Kim or somebody of that ilk.
And it's possible he hits before he can throw, so you may get a designated hitter for a few weeks and then get him over at third base. Yeah. I mean, he'll be there, God willing, recovery willing, for the vast majority of the season next year. And I don't have a problem with that. He wanted to finish out this season. He did. The Padres finished strong. They see value in that, even if fans, some people don't see the value at the end of the year.
I was absolutely one of them, but I'm not changing my mind per se, but I think it was important, and every former player we talked to was like, that goes a long way. There's a lot of respect that goes for guys that can finish out a season.
One thing that does bother me, and just because we're talking about recovery from injury, the story came out yesterday that Aaron Rodgers, again, is attacking his rehab with the idea of coming back this season.
Right.
Like he's really rehabbing hard because he wants to get back this year. And it gave the impression, that like other athletes don't do that. I guarantee you that most professional athletes try to get back as quickly as they can. They all attack their rehab. You can't.
Not necessarily.
Some don't. Some don't. But there have been plenty who have really attacked it. You can't necessarily speed up that time frame, though. Your body is your body, and it's going to need that time to heal.
Well, do you agree some people heal faster than others?
Absolutely, but it's not because they want it more.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Aaron Rodgers implied yesterday, well, I want it so badly, I'm working so hard, I'm going to get back faster than they said. A lot of athletes try to do that.
It doesn't bother me. Like, let him believe, whatever you got to tell yourself to get you through bed rotting, doing interviews on the Pat McAfee show, whatever. Like, they could absolutely use him. If I were him, if it was me and I've accomplished so much, I would just say, I'm going to come back when I'm ready. Now, I don't want to rush anything. That's just not something I think you can rush if you tear your Achilles or whatever it is he did. I'm gonna let it play out. I'm gonna, like you said, attack my rehab and get back. But I don't know that is there any reason to push yourself if you're Aaron Rodgers for anything other than personal pride? I'm not sure. I don't know how much the Jets are going to be in it, even when it's not like he's coming back in 2 weeks, Right.
It was like if they make the playoffs and win a game.
Right. Yeah. So, it could
we'll know in a month if the Jets, there's even any reason
to push yourself
harder to come back this season.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We can talk about the sort of report about A.J. Preller and Bob Melvin. Also want to get into yesterday's playoff openers. And, these series go awfully quick. We could be in 24 hours pretty much up to a bunch of division series at this point. It goes fast. So we'll discuss the Major League Baseball playoffs, the San Diego Padres offseason, and more. This hour of Ben and Woods is brought to you by the Golf Mart. Be right back on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So how much did you guys watch yesterday of the Major League Baseball playoffs?
Every game.
Did you?
Not every second of every game. They overlapped.
You couldn't. I hate the overlap, and I understand it. Before you attack me, I understand why you have to overlap them. I did not enjoy it. I want staggered back to back to back to back.
Had a little dual screen action for a little bit during the Miami Philly game, and then I was watching the end of the Diamondbacks Brewers.
I will say, out of all the major sports, I don't know. I've never tried to watch 2 hockey games at the same time. I can imagine that would be a little maddening. I've watched Red Zone, which I enjoy.
Octobox.
Mostly because of the guy that calls the Red Zone. He keeps it so good. What's his name?
Scott
Hansen.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. 2 basketball games. I don't even watch 1 basketball game. But watching 2 baseball games is very difficult to do. It's very difficult for me.
March Madness, like online.
March Madness online.
March Madness, like through their website, you can watch
I guess that's
4
true.
games at a time.
I guess that's
2 games
true.
at a time, 8, I think, at a time.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I don't have the world's greatest attention span. So I like to hone in on one game, and then I like to start over for the first pitch for the next one. I mean, you'd have to start the games at like 6 o'clock in the morning, but I didn't really like the overlap because there were some good games going on, and I'm like, oh crap! The second game, it was Twins Blue Jays. I'm like, oh my god, the Twins are already up in the first inning. I had no idea, so I had to flip over to that. But I was watching a pretty good pitching performance from Jordan Montgomery, so I didn't really know what to do. It's going to get a little easier as some teams get eliminated, but I thought it was pretty electric first day, man, as far as playoffs go.
Yeah, I mean, you had some surprises. You had some great pitching performances, as you mentioned. A couple of young stars rising to the occasion. And one big surprise as an ace goes down. We'll get into all of that coming up here. Let's check traffic and be back with more on day 1 of the MLB playoffs here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max, San Diego's highest-rated heating and air conditioning company. Problems along the 5, still clearing an accident northbound side just past 28th Street. Everything's over to the right shoulder. And on the southbound 5, right before Imperial, there is a collision. Tow trucks on scene. Everything over to the right shoulder. Still clearing an accident southbound 15 past the King Freeway. It's over to the right shoulder. And collision on southbound 67 near Scripps Poway Parkway. Got a car and pickup truck involved. They're over to the right shoulder. Looking for the rest in HVAC? Choose Air Max, San Diego's highest rating heating and air company with free diagnostics on all repairs and estimates. See why over 1,100 happy customers have given Air Max 5-star Yelp reviews. See Air Max today at airmax.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so you did watch. You watched in order. So why don't we start with the first game yesterday, the Texas Rangers at the Tampa Bay Rays.
Now, I don't want to pile on, don't I? I don't want to pile on the good, fine people of Tampa, St. Pete.
It is embarrassing.
But I'm sorry, man. The numbers that came out as far as the attendance for the Rangers home game in Tampa, St. Pete, or wherever it is, 19,704. They said the last time a playoff game had that small of attendance, Shoeless Joe Jackson was playing for the Chicago White Sox
like
of
over
1918 or something. So I saw some people from Tampa Bay defending. It's freaking Tuesday, dude, at whatever o'clock. And I'm like, and somebody tweeted, bro, if it was an 8 a.m. Padres game, Petco would be slammed. You figure it out. Now, they've had
3 p.m. local time.
Yeah, they've had a good run of being in the playoffs. Are they spoiled? Or were they ever going to pull huge numbers?
Spoiled, or are they perhaps jaded by the team that, all right, we're going to get to the playoffs, but we know how this ends. We're going to lose in the first round or the second round. Do we really have a team that we can get that excited about, knowing what always seems to happen once we get to the postseason? I mean, they've made all these playoff runs. When was the last time they actually made a deep run to the World Series? 2009? 2008?
No, they played the Dodgers in that short season.
That's right.
So that's it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The short season one. But their attendance for the playoff opener yesterday was less than half of the average Padres attendance for regular season games this year.
It's crazy, man. And
now they're getting a new stadium. Is that going to fix things, or is
they're
that
putting
just
it in the same spot? So I had people, because I tweeted yesterday. I said, "Hey, putting a brand new stadium in basically the same location should fix this. And I was being a smartass, as I'm known to do. People were like, dude, you don't understand. It's like an hour drive in, an hour drive out. I'm like, that's not my problem. That's your team. You have to show up for playoff games. You can't have 19,000 people at a playoff game. It doesn't matter what time it is. If it were in Philly, it'd be slammed. If it were in New York, it'd be slammed. If it were in San Diego, it would be slammed. 8 a.m. start. 8 a.m. first pitch. There would be 40,000 people there.
Honestly, I think if they played the Rays-Rangers game at Petco Park yesterday, they probably would have drawn more than 20,000 people
more
to
than
the
19
game.
for sure.
Even with the Padres not a part of it.
But, then you get to the game itself, and Jordan Montgomery was outstanding. He was outstanding, Ben. He went 7 innings. Now, they have a very dicey bullpen situation. They were talking about it on the broadcast. Bochy is, he's got to be biting his nails off every time he's got to go to his pen because they have more blown saves than anyone. He's got to be a wreck. So
he doesn't look like he's a wreck.
No, he doesn't. He's been through this before.
Yeah.
But internally, there's got to be something like, I'm going to let Jordan continue to go. So he goes 7, 6 hits, no runs, no walks, struck out 5. He's got an ERA now in the postseason, been a .66.
The play he made on the bunts with runners at first and third to save a run, I would think, was incredible. You don't see pitchers make diving catches ever, really. They're just, especially coming off the mound like that. That was a terrific play and seemed like it took a lot of the life out of the Tampa Bay Rays after that.
Well, and the story of that game was defense. Obviously, Tampa Bay playing atrocious, horrendous.
You got to score to win. Like, Montgomery was really good for the Rangers.
But you can't give them runs.
I still feel like they gave that one away.
They absolutely did.
They were just booting
not
the ball
their
around.
MO. They were a very good defensive team all year.
They always are.
What did they finish with officially, errors-wise?
I think it was 56.
4 in the game.
Oh, no, in the game.
Yeah.
In the game, 4.
All season, though. That was like almost 10% of their errors of the entire season that they had in one playoff game. So
Montgomery was incredible. Tyler Glasnow, I said it yesterday on the show. I bet against him yesterday just because, Ben, I love the kid. He's one of my wife's favorite pitchers. She has this crush on Tyler Glasnow. I get it. He's a stud. He's got electric stuff. Man, when he gets to the postseason, and I know it wasn't all his fault yesterday, Ben.
I saw him throw some great pitches.
He threw some nasty pitches, but his ERA in the postseason is approaching 6 in 45 innings. For me, it was an easy call to bet against Tyler Glasnow yesterday. Randy Arozarena got a couple of knocks. Other than that, man, Corey Seager, 2 hits, double, rib. So they handled business, no problem. Rangers win 4-0.
All right, as you said, you're watching that game. All of a sudden, the second game starts, and before you even look up, Twins take a 2-0 lead on a Royce Lewis home run. I feel like I'm late to the Royce Lewis party. Number 1 overall draft pick from 2017 out of just up the road in San Juan Capistrano. First 2 playoff at bats, he homers. That's a nice coming out party in the postseason.
It's funny. They were talking about him yesterday. Trevor Plouffe and Chris Rose, who we have on the show all the time from the Rose rotation, they basically called it. And Trevor Plouffe was a former Twin. He's beloved there in Minnesota. And he said, you guys don't understand how good this guy can be. And he goes, I predict now that he's healthy, he's going to have the breakout performance. What a call, right? You call it before the game. He goes out and hits 2 bombs. But I was talking to John down the hall, John Flint, big Twins fan, and he goes, it's so nice to have him back healthy. And I go, bro, this has been the Twins' MO. Remember Max Kepler? When healthy. Byron Buxton.
When healthy.
And Royce Lewis. When healthy. These guys, and I'm like, why can't these guys stay healthy for your squad? You guys could have a dynasty type. They have dynasty type talent, and they're just never on the field. But I thought that was really, really cool for them.
I thought yesterday's game also illustrated a concept that general managers talk about a lot, but never seems to work out in practice. But the trade that is a win for both teams.
Yeah.
And Pablo Lopez was the starter. Pitched the Twins to their first playoff win in 19 years, ending an 18-game losing streak. But they had to give up Luis Arraez to get him. And Arraez, of course, was a huge part of the Miami Marlins, great season and getting to the playoffs. That seemed like a trade that ended up working out pretty well for both sides. Yeah, you can feel bad about what you gave up, but you're really happy about what you got, and you address needs on both sides in that trade. Just seemed like it worked out well for both parties. Now, the Twins are up 1-0. The Marlins, unfortunately, are down 1-0 as they lost to the Phillies 4-1. I mean, it looked just like Red October last year at Citizens Bank Park.
That may be the gnarliest atmosphere to play in. I mean, it was awesome. It's awesome. You can hate Philly, you can hate the Phillies, you can hate all the players, whatever. You can hate their shtick. You cannot deny that place is massive home field advantage. They were loud, boisterous from...
Yo, call me when you get your phone.
The ceremonial first pitch.
That's it, with Rhys Hoskins, which was brilliant, right? To roll him out there after his injury, let him throw one. Man, Zach Wheeler was unbelievable. I mean, did you see him? He was filthy last night. I looked
very reminiscent of how he was against the Padres last year, too.
Absolutely nasty. Absolutely incredible. 6 2/3, 5 hits, 1 earned. Struck out 8. He's got an ERA under 3, Ben, in 42 postseason innings. So he is really earning his money there in Philly. They love him there. Castellanos had a good night. Harper was quiet until the last AB, dunked one in, ended up scoring, running through a stop sign to score.
Castellanos.
Yeah, holds the ring finger up, which I thought was great. Josh Bell, man, for the Marlins, continues to be a real postseason. He shows up in the postseason, got 3 knocks yesterday, but there was nothing they could do. Lazardo, I thought, looked a little bit nervous for the Marlins. He was kind of choking some pitches, bouncing some pitches. But, man, for a team like the Marlins, you want them to scratch out a win, certainly, but you saw that last night. They're 100% overmatched.
Yeah, unfortunately for Skip's team. I mean, just the idea of having to take 2 out of 3, all of them in Philly,
gnarly.
In that atmosphere, that's a tall task indeed. But I thought the story of the day, the biggest surprise of the day, and we talked about it on the show yesterday.
You called this one.
That this was, I didn't call it. I just said this feels like the must-win for the Brewers when they've got Corbin Burns going against Brandon Pfaadt in what looked like the biggest pitching mismatch of the playoffs. You have to win that game, and the Brewers then get out to a 3-0 lead. And
think
say,
it's time to cruise.
Right, this is the Diamondbacks are going to go. That's fine. We'll get them in the next 2, punt, and then all of a sudden, as fast as you can blink, I looked up. Corbin Carroll hits a 2-run homer. The next pitch, Ketel Marte ties the game, and it's 3-3, and all the momentum is on the D-back side. They take the lead the next inning on another home run off of Corbin Burns by Gabriel Moreno, and they never look back. I mean, the bullpen, 6 1/3 shutout innings, and the Diamondbacks win that game, and now they've got Zach Gallen coming back in Game 2, and the Brewers are precariously hanging on to their season at home. They could be gone just like that
today.
In the postseason today because they did not come up with the win in the game that they had to have yesterday.
And how many times? The play by Longoria to just snuff out a rally.
Oh, my God.
Yelich overrunning the bag. They had so many base running mistakes. How many guys did they leave on last night? I didn't write that down, but every time I looked, they had runners on first and second, 1 out, nobody out. I swear to God, they left 10 men on last night. They had every opportunity to bust that open.
Brewers left 11 on base.
11 on base. Devin Williams came in. He gave up a couple of runs. It was just out of reach at that point. The Brewers are just punchless, man. When your ace is on the bump and he gives it right back, that's tough. That's tough. Even though they are at home, that's a really tough look for them. So I don't know, man. After watching yesterday, the Rays, Ben, have scored 1 run in their last 29 postseason innings, is the number I believe I saw. 1 run in 29 innings. It doesn't matter how good your pitching and defense is. You got to hit. And they've got hitters on that team. No one's hitting. And they haven't. Going back to last postseason, 29 innings and 1 run, that is the most putrid offense you could imagine. So maybe I understand why only 19,000 people showed up at the game yesterday. But, hey, listen, I sat there on my ass, rotting in bed, watching. I watched 8 hours of baseball. And it was bed rotting. It was everything, even though, the Pods aren't in it. It was everything I could have imagined it to be. It was just fantastic. I love playoff baseball so much. I adore it. These guys everyone was busting it out last night. Big tip of the hat to Torey Lovullo for the brilliant managing he exhibited last night. Corbin Carroll in his first playoff game, smacking a huge bomb. I look at that guy and I don't get it.
Right?
I don't get it. I look at him, I'm like, he shouldn't be that good. He doesn't have, when I think of he just doesn't have that thing. Like you see Tatis, you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, Carroll looks
like
like he should be scrappy.
Yes,
well, no, he's got scrappy attitude.
he's
No, the guy looks like a
440.
superstar.
He hit 440 bomb last night. So, man, if you're not on board with these playoffs because you're bitter about the Padres, you got to do some soul searching and go check it out because it really is great baseball.
So exact same lineup today as yesterday, same time, same channels to keep it as simple as possible for Game 2 of the wild card series.
No teams moving around. Just the exact same. Okay.
The exact same channels, lineups, time, starts, everything following up. So it starts with noon with Texas, Tampa Bay again, and then 1 o'clock, Toronto, Minnesota, 4 o'clock, Arizona, Milwaukee, and 5 o'clock, Miami, Philadelphia, with the teams that lost yesterday all needing to win to force a Game 3 tomorrow in the series. Now, if Arizona does win, they'd get the Dodgers in the division series. And it'd be the second straight year that the Dodgers have to face a divisional opponent in that second round, which I think that's probably not what they want.
Probably not.
I that would be my guess.
But I mean, somebody said the Brewers have more pitching, and I'm like, not really anymore. They don't. Losing Woodruff. So I don't know, man. You don't want to play that you don't want to play that scrappy team that really, really wants it.
All right, we'll come back. We'll talk about the Padres sort of rumors, notes from yesterday on Bob Melvin and AJ Preller coming up next year on The Fan. So, business as usual at Petco Park. Welcome back. It's Ben and Woods, 7 a.m. on 97.3 The Fan. Get to take on Woods here coming up in a couple of minutes. Chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. We already have one qualifier from yesterday. So, yeah, they did have a meeting, apparently. This according to the notes section in the UT yesterday. There was a productive meeting on Monday at Petco Park. We have really no details other than that about what was said, who was totally in the meeting, what was discussed. But they got out of that meeting, and no one apparently lost their job. A.J. Preller continues to, do his function as the president of baseball operations, general manager, and Bob Melvin at this point is expected to continue on as manager of the San Diego Padres. Did I sum that all up for you?
You
Pretty
did.
much the way you understand it as well, Woods.
Yeah, you did. It's a weird situation. It's weird to me. Bob's got 1 year left on his deal, which means he'll go into next season being the lame duck manager, which, for Bob Melvin, for A.J. Preller, this is maybe the best outcome, right? Because then you can just not renew his contract at the end of the year, and everybody gets okay, we're going to clean slate it and blank slate it and see what you guys can do this next season. So, look, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But I do think Bob Melvin, it's a good power move by A.J. Preller because you can say, okay, fine, yeah, you got 1 year left on your deal, and there's probably won't be any talk of an extension or anything like that. Here's what I don't think happened. I don't think these guys got in a room Monday and said, come here, man. Come here.
Do I have to?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll be better. I'll be better. You be better. And let's just be better, okay? All right? You good? We good? And
I've never
everyone
seen
left.
I've never seen Ben more uncomfortable.
Everyone left all happy and fuzzy. That's what I don't think happened. I don't.
I mean, I'm guessing it wasn't that physical, but
He liked it.
I do think that there had to be some sort of understanding reached.
Yeah,
It wasn't
the understanding
simply,
is you have 1 year left on your deal. Enjoy. That's it. That's the understanding.
No.
Come on.
AJ isn't immune to some review, right?
From whom?
I mean, Grupner, someone didn't say in that meeting, Bob, what is it that you aren't comfortable with the way things are being operated right now? And Bob didn't at least speak up and say, I love it here, but I would really prefer if we didn't have, Don Tricker, the guy we talked about from the New Zealand rugby team, coming down and sitting in a bunch of meetings.
Yeah.
And if that's a problem, I feel like that's a problem in our clubhouse.
I forgot about Don Tricker.
Can AJ, live without that? I mean, if that was an issue for Bob Melvin, I'm sure he voiced a couple of the things that, he felt weren't working in his clubhouse.
Sure.
And I would imagine that they had to discuss some of that going forward to reach an understanding in which they could continue to operate under the same roof at Petco Park.
They just look over, Tricker sitting there, and he's like, oh, crikey. And they're like, all right, sacrificial lamb, buddy. Beat it.
Mates.
I mean, maybe.
I'm speculating. I've got no idea what Bob Melvin's. He's never said specifically what. He's never even said he has an issue. He said that we have disagreements, but we get along fine. The reports are that that's not the case,
right.
And depending on who you believe and how bad it's gotten. Some people say it's gotten really bad. Sources from inside the organization.
Is what we heard. Did they solve a civil war? You're telling me they solved their civil war in one day, one afternoon?
Did they come out of the meeting? Okay, agree to disagree. Let's just go on absolutely loathing each other and not working together at all. I'll distrust you, you distrust me, and this is good. We'll just move on from here. That can't be the way the meeting ended. Then everyone said, okay, we're fine. We solved it. They've just agreed
You're telling me that would surprise you?
That we've agreed to completely hate each other moving forward.
You're telling me that
but
would
we're not
surprise
going to make any changes whatsoever.
You got a year left on your deal. You're playing out the year and go have at it. and, we'll see what happens. And I'll try to get you, I'll try to replace 4/5 of the rotation, and I'll try to get you a first baseman, and I'll try to get you, we'll figure out what to do with this guy and that guy. You got a year left. Enjoy. I'll see you in spring training. Nothing surprises me anymore at all, but that certainly would not surprise me.
Well, I don't think the 1 year left is as big of a deal for Bob Melvin as, like, if Jace Tingler was coming back with 1 year left on his contract and no security
yeah, but
after
he's not
that,
Bob Melvin. That's the thing is, like,
no one would give him any respect at all. He'd look like a lame duck with no authority. Bob Melvin's not going to have that problem.
No, I don't think he's going to have that problem. But the thing is, for Bob Melvin, if you're Bob Melvin now, they've now put you're now the problem. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so he's got a year left on his deal. If they decide to go business as usual, knowing that there's a quote-unquote civil war and you're a micromanager and stay out of my clubhouse and get this rugby coach and softball coach out of here, right? So work with me here. AJ then says, "Oh, that's fine. Yeah, you got a year left. Enjoy." And Bob, now there's a San Francisco job open. There's a New York job open. There's a Cleveland job open. Could be a couple of more jobs open. And Bob's like, "Great." I mean, there's always going to be a managerial
jobs
yeah,
open. Plus,
no doubt.
Plus, I think Bob's in a pretty good spot because if the Padres have a great year next year, he can write his ticket here or anywhere else, and he'll be he's already a hot name. He'll be able to do whatever he wants after this season.
Now, what if Farhan and the Giants come to Bob Melvin? Then, again, AJ has put the onus on Bob. Because if Farhan and the Giants come to him and say, 4? How about 8? We'll give you 8. Next year. We want you here. You're a native. This is where you belong.
Then AJ will look like a fool for not having extended him and worked it out, and he'll lose a manager that everyone wants to keep.
Then it says, well, Bob wanted to leave. So we let him go. We let him out of his last deal, and he can go. It's a brilliant move.
Well, they won't let him out of a deal. They just won't pay him. He won't have a deal.
If AJ does it, if AJ stays, this is the best outcome for him. He'll have to, quote-unquote, put up with Bob Melvin for another year, and then Bob Melvin, like you said, can write his own ticket. But AJ's going to be like, he wanted to go coach the Giants. What am I supposed to do? So, yeah, he walked. It's brilliant.
You think that AJ will be immune from criticism for not?
No, not from.
If the Padres win the World Series and they can't convince Bob Melvin to come back, AJ's not going to take some heat for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely he will. But that's what I'm saying is we're now setting ourselves up for another freaking year like we just had. What's going to change? What is going to change? Except the roster may be getting worse. That's what I'm saying. And now you've put the onus potentially on Bob Melvin.
But you and I both agreed. We wanted Bob Melvin to come back.
Absolutely.
Whatever the roster looks like, we feel like he gives them the best chance to make it successful in the end.
No question.
So
but
this is
Bob Melvin as a lame duck.
This is still good news for Padres fans.
I think so, yeah. I think so, unless nothing changes. As I like to say, nothing changes if nothing changes. So we'll see.
What changed between 2022 and 2023 then? If nothing changes, then they were great. They went to the NLCS. What changed?
Your relationship can fracture it doesn't take long to fracture a relationship. And the relationship could have been fractured but masked by winning in 2022. Winning will help cure a lot of ails, as we will also say on this show.
So nothing changes is not necessarily true. Things change even though nothing changes.
Well,
same people, same thing, but things do change.
If the relationship stays as it's been reported, right, what's going to change? Maybe they win some more games. Maybe they don't. So I don't know. It's a really tough position. It's a very, very tough position, which is why I thought, is them staying together the worst possible outcome? And I think that's probably the answer. The answer is probably yes. But again, you never know. I got no crystal ball.
It's funny considering neither one of them has ever said really a bad thing about the other publicly ever. Once.
No.
Once.
No.
Not once.
But
there's nothing that they have to walk back.
No.
There's nothing they have to explain. There's no incident that like, hey, all right, I mean, we've heard these reports, but what about this thing? There's not one thing that either one of them has ever said other than the right thing.
No, they're smart about it.
Yeah.
They're smart about it. But, I mean, it doesn't come out of thin air.
No, it comes from other people who've seen behind the scenes, obviously.
And when you have players speaking under the condition of anonymity that says this sucks, it's like being caught in the middle of two parents that are getting a divorce. That can't continue. And if it If nothing changes with the parties involved, then nothing changes at all.
All right, we'll come back to this, obviously, today, tomorrow, for the next few months, likely. It's going to continue to be a big story for the Padres offseason. 833-288-0973. It is 7:10. It is time to play. Take on Woods. All right, we got Mike in Carlsbad as our contestant today. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Morning, guys. Good, thanks.
All right, Woods has left the studio. We will set you up for a chance to qualify for our grand prize drawing. 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and tickets to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons live in concert at the International Theater. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. You just have to beat or tie him in our 5-question musical trivia challenge, which begins with you selecting the category today. Your choices are Rocket or Pocket. Those are song titles that include one of those two words. End It All, Part 2, just like last week, 5 song titles that end with the word it. And our new category, Winds of the 80s, 5 songs or band names that include the word wind, like the wind blowing, and all have connections to the 80s. So, of those 3, Mike, Rocket or Pocket, End It All, or Winds of the 80s, what would you like to play?
Let's do End It All.
End It All. All right, just like before, we have 5 more song titles that all end with the word it. You'll have 60 seconds to get as many of the 5 as you can. If you don't know an answer, you can say pass. We'll come back to it at the end if there's time remaining on the clock. First question is our 2-second song. Paulie's going to play a short clip. You need to give me the song title and the artist to score that one. We'll go on from there. Mike, are you ready to play?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. 60 seconds on the clock. The category End It All. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Mike. Let's take on Woods. Bring it.
Getting jiggy with it. I have no idea who did it.
All right, 4 figures with the initials LB. Leonard Bernstein, Leonid Brezhnev, Lenny Bruce, and Lester Bangs all appear in the lyrics to which REM song?
Yes.
The 5-word title is the first thing you hear in which 1980s Journey classic?
It's too early.
It's
Yeah.
okay. In 1995, which debut single by Montel Jordan knocked Madonna from the top of the Billboard charts and earned the artist a Grammy nomination?
Boy, this is embarrassing.
The same year of 1995 saw Tim McGraw record which hits, including the lyrics, I Want Some More of It, following the 6-word song title?
You got to understand, I'm stuck in the 60s.
That's okay. This one's a little too modern for you. You got Getting Jiggy With It by Will Smith is the artist. The rest of them, it's The End of the World as We Know It. Any Way You Want It. That's the way you need it from Journey. This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan, and I Like It, I Love It by Tim McGraw. Well, let's see what Woods can do at the same category. Don't like Mike's chances today.
No.
It's too bad. It's happened sometimes. All right, we've got Woods coming back in. Reset our song and our question. 60 seconds on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Mike. Bring it.
Getting jiggy with it, Will Smith?
Correct. 4 figures with the initials LB. Leonard Bernstein, Leonid Brezhnev, Lenny Bruce, and Lester Bangs all appear in the lyrics to which REM song?
It's The End of the World, as we know it?
Correct. The 5-word title is the first thing you hear in which 1980 Journey classic?
Pass.
In 1995, which debut single by Montel Jordan knocked Madonna from the top of the Billboard charts, earned the artist a Grammy.
This Is How We Do It?
Correct. The same year in 1995.
Any Way You Want It by Journey.
Correct. The same year of 1995 saw Tim McGraw record which hit, including the lyrics, I Want Some More of It, following the 6-word song title?
I like it.
You know it. And you got all 5 right. Very nicely done, Woodsy.
I love it.
That was the second part of our End It All category.
End It All.
They all ended in the word it.
It.
Jiggy with it. End of the
Don't say
world as
that
we
again.
know it.
With it. Did you hear that?
With it. That's the title. There's no
Jiggy with
H.
it.
It's not jiggy with it. It's with it. We got a half point for Mike. He got the song title, but then he was a little hoping for some earlier classics on the song.
Earlier
today.
classics.
Yeah,
I
60,
see.
He's like, I'm locked in on the 60s.
I see people saying that our stuff is too
too
old.
old,
Yeah,
but not for everyone.
you're not going to make everybody happy, as I realized on a daily basis.
No.
That was the most modern category.
Yeah, I got a little
that
panic
Ben's
there.
had in a while.
It was.
And that one was basically 90s at the most. I'll throw in some 2000s. The problem is no one ever. I've noticed that when I throw something in from like the last 10 years, no one gets it.
I'm not great
You
at
don't get it. The contestants don't get it. So I try to keep it a little bit older. I don't know if that's a demographics thing or it's hard to remember the newer stuff. As you get older, your brain still remembers everything that happened in the 80s and the
old
90s.
stuff. Oh,
But
yeah.
the stuff that happened in the last few years, it's like, why doesn't it seep into the
true.
gray matter of my brain?
You'll remember them in 20 years. You'll remember
Maybe.
everything in 20 years. That's how it works.
Maybe. All right, we've got Don't Do This coming up next.
I've got a very, very arrogant general manager giving his analysis, Ben, on the season that was. And no, it's not our general manager. I did see some shades of the San Diego Padres in this audio.
All right.
You're going to love this.
We'll get to that coming up next. Let's check traffic. Be right back with more here on 97.3 The Fan. Going to get a little awkward at training camp. It's time for Don't Do This. First, all guests on Meadow Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
This is about James Harden, yes?
This is, yes.
All right.
So James,
he plays now for the
Philadelphia
76ers. Okay.
Except he doesn't
Attaboy.
want to.
Thank you.
He wants to be traded.
Okay. He wants out.
Was unhappy he didn't get his promised bag at the in the offseason.
Okay.
But they didn't really want to commit any more money to an aging James Harden. So he's at odds with the management of the 76ers, wants a trade. But they have not been able to trade him or unwilling to find the correct partner for James Harden. So here we are at the start of training camp, which the 76ers are conveniently holding in Fort Collins, Colorado, at Colorado State University. It's not exactly, kind of the middle of nowhere. I've been to Fort Collins once. So he wasn't there for the first day. No one was really that shocked. It's like, okay, well, we know he wants to be traded. He doesn't show up. But now, apparently, James Harden is on his way to Fort Collins.
Well, that's got to be good news if you're a Sixers fan.
But the reports are that he's not going to be there to, put his head down until he gets traded and just work. He's there essentially to be a distraction. According to The Athletic and other reports, James Harden just is going there to not work out in earnest with the team, but just basically be a giant, uncomfortable distraction for
running,
everybody.
And he's on the sidelines going, hello, my baby. Hello. He's doing ragtime dancing, ragdoll living in a movie on the
until
sideline.
they have no choice but to trade him just to make it stop, essentially. That's basically what I'm getting from the James Harden saga right now.
It's so good.
I have never been a huge James Harden fan. I've
Yeah.
never been a fan of his game.
Yeah.
He's a little overrated.
Yeah.
Has long highlight reels of him just not playing defense,
Right.
as good as he is offensively. But I kind of love the pettiness sometimes. Him showing up like 50 pounds overweight.
Was amazing. And then he lost
then
it in
he
a
gets
week.
traded, and he's
Remember,
like,
he did this
"I'm
with the
good."
Rockets 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So, man,
with the
there's just-
Rockets until he forced them to trade him to the Brooklyn Nets.
Honestly, there's a small part of me, too, being empathetic towards him because there are just people, and you'll meet them in your life, they're never happy. You could get all the money, and then you'd be like, man, I don't have the team around me to win. And there are just people in your life that are just black clouds. There's just a cloud over you, and you're like, that's James Harden. He's just never really going to be satisfied.
Yeah, in 2021, early 2021, Harden and Russell Westbrook were tired of each other with Houston.
Yeah.
And the Rockets were, quote, willing to get uncomfortable to, make it work out, but it didn't take about, 3 days before they realized we can't handle this anymore, and they traded James Harden. So I think Harden, he found a formula that worked for him before. He's going to try it again to get himself traded.
The power that the players have
Sure.
in the NBA compared to the other major sports is just unbelievable.
It really is pretty incredible.
You can say the same about Damian Lillard. He asked for a trade. He got himself traded, but he didn't get to the Miami Heat.
Get what he wanted.
And it took a very long time before it did eventually happen. But he did. Kind of got what he wanted. He's playing with a superstar with a chance to win a title.
Force their hands. Oh, I can't wait to force Adam's hand someday. I will stay in the game of baseball, or I won't stay there. I will go to the game of baseball. They did the Seattle Mariners not postseason presser, but the press conference at the end of the year because they did not make the playoffs. And here's some pretty interesting audio from General Manager Jerry DiPoto.
If you go back and you look in a decade, those teams that win 54% of the time always wind up in the postseason, and they more often than not wind up in World Series. So there's your bigger picture process. Nobody wants to hear the goal this year is we're going to win 54% of the time, because sometimes 54% is some. One year you're going to win 60%, another year you're going to win 50%. It's whatever it is, but over time, that type of mindset gets you there. If what you're doing is focusing year to year on what do we have to do to win the World Series this year, you might be one of the teams that's laying in the mud and can't get up for another decade. So we're actually doing the fan base a favor and asking for their patience to win the World Series while we continue to build a sustainably good roster.
I don't know that a Seattle Mariners fan today goes, oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that's that arrogance that comes sometimes from Jerry DiPoto was a player too. This is way out of character for a former player. He knows better.
I think he certainly did not phrase it very well.
You heard him laugh after he said it because I think it's when he realized, oh, I'm dead.
This doesn't sound good.
It sounds horrible.
But basically what he's saying is, I think what we're doing is smarter than what, say, the Padres are doing.
How can they say that, though? Because they're not in the postseason. What was their drought before this last year? 20 years, something like that, Paulie. What was the playoff drought for the Mariners?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
21 years.
There's no favors being done.
Time will tell. They won 88 games, though, this year.
Right, they did.
Which most years is good enough to make the postseason. This year, it didn't. The American League was a little more concentrated at the top, and they ended up getting aced out. But if you could guarantee 88 wins every year, that's almost like Jerry DiPoto said, that will almost always get you to the playoffs. And when you get there...
How the F would he know? Because they're never in the playoffs. That's what I'm saying.
So we're actually doing the fan base a favor?
Maybe your bar should be higher than 54%. Does that make sense? They're never in the playoffs. How can you get up there and say, guys, this is a favor for you guys? This is working.
I mean, that's fair.
It's not working.
But you can't say that this season, was it a failure for the Mariners?
Yes, massive.
So
they were in the playoffs last year. They have a budding young superstar.
Did they have a better or worse year than the Marlins?
Worse year. A better year. They won more games.
They won 4 more games than the Marlins.
They're in a different division.
Well, I get that.
Different league.
But you can't control that part. You can only control how well you play and how many games you win.
If my goal as a GM is to win 54% of the time, and my track record is we've been to the playoffs once, my bar needs to be higher. I need to do a better job. That's what I think the fans want to hear.
You know what he's saying, though.
I don't.
We could spend $150 million in free agency to try to win 110 games the next 2 years, but we're going to pay for it, and we're going to have 10 years where we win 60 games after that because it's not sustainable.
But they already have a 20-year playoff drought. I think the fans, you don't get up there and say, guys, I'm doing you a favor. This is a favor to you. All that money you spent on season tickets and merchandise for Julio Rodriguez and Robbie Ray. And I mean, the guy went up there and he actually said in another part of his press conference, hey, people do like coming here. I mean, we had Robbie Ray and Robinson Cano and Nelson Cruz. They've drafted pretty well. They've got good young arms. He's done a great job in that respect. But to get up there, I think is a huge slap in the face to tell your fan base, I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah, he definitely did not phrase it very well.
And I know
but
we're late.
If he said, our model going forward is to be sustainably successful.
Sure.
And
not making the playoffs isn't sustainably successful.
We're not going all in any one season. We're going to try to be good for a long time. But
they're not. That's what I'm saying.
But that's their plan, at least.
But he's been there a decade. A decade. How long do you need to figure this out? That's what I'm saying. And so Bradford William Davis, who we've had on the show before, says, hang on. I did some long division. Stay with me. Jerry DiPoto took over the Mariners before 2016. Over his 8 seasons, his team is 616 and 578, winning record. They won 51% of their games. If he wants to hit 54% by the end of his 10th season, the Mariners need to win 204 games over the next 2 years. That seems less sustainable than just saying, we're going to go get some good free agents that can hit and not have Mike Ford at the bottom of our lineup and some of the guys we're running out there. And we're going to go try to win a World Series for the city of Seattle that's in a 47-year World Series drought. They've never even made it, have they? No. So, I mean, it's just absurd to me.
That took a little long, so we'll hold the do this, and we'll come back.
Wasn't that great?
With Adam Jones coming up next on Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Farmer's Dog. Fresh, human-grade dog food delivered right to your door. From better poops to more energy. When you switch your dog's food to the Farmer's Dog, the effects can feel magical. What sorcery is this? None at all. It's just real food made for the health of dogs. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/no-magic. Adam Jones was, I think, at the most interesting of the playoff series. Right now, he's going to join us right after this check of traffic.
We're trying to track him down.
Yeah, he's going to try to be tracked down after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the all-new Premier Cadillac of Carlsbad. Got a number of things going on here, guys. Crash blocking middle lanes, northbound side of the 805 just before H Street. Up ahead before Sorrento Valley Road, getting reports of some metal debris in the two right lanes. Stalled car partially blocking the transition ramp southbound 15 at the southbound 5 connector ramp. And north 15 just past the 8, accident involving a motorcycle. That is in the center divide. Brought to you by Premier Cadillac of Carlsbad with brand new 2023 Cadillac XT4s and XT5s in stock now. Stop in or shop online at CadillacCarlsbad.com, a proud member of the Premier Carlsbad family of dealers. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, while our friend Paulie tries to find our other friend Adam Jones in Milwaukee, why don't I get to the doo-doo this story we didn't have time for in our last segment.
Sure.
DD mega doo-doo.
Paulie, I appreciate that.
Well
the news this week, LeBron James obviously showed up to Lakers camp, and one of the things he was asked about was, of course, how's Bronny doing after he suffered the cardiac arrest and everything that's gone on, and the news is very good. He's continuing his rehab, and LeBron said that Bronny is hoping to get back on the court and play for the USC Trojans here this season at some point. He has not started, practicing with the team yet, but just the idea that he could get back this season. He's doing extremely well, had a successful surgery, he said, and it's been obviously tough and stressful for the family, but all signs are pointing toward a positive return and an ability to get back to the basketball court for Bronny. So thought that was pretty cool news this week.
We failed to mention it, too, on Monday that DeMar Hamlin actually played for the Buffalo Bills and was in a game, and he had not played the first 3 weeks and came back and played and back from the dead and actually played a game, which is pretty big news. So sorry that we failed to mention that. We don't usually talk football right on a Monday, which is a little odd, I get, but I thought that was a pretty cool story, too.
Yeah, apparently there's been a war of words a little bit between the Lakers and the Nuggets. The Nuggets calling out the Lakers. Well, I think the parade.
What's happening right now?
At the parade, Mike Malone, the coach of the Nuggets, was. Oh, do we have Adam?
No.
What?
You segued into some weird Lakers Nuggets story.
Well, we were talking about LeBron, so I just thought I
was talking about DeMar Hamlin.
Well, I was talking about LeBron.
All right. Tell me more about the Lakers and Nuggets.
Well, the Nuggets are here. They're training here in San Diego right now.
At SDSU?
I believe, yeah. Are they at the Jam Center or at the UCSD at Lion Tree Arena? One of the two.
I don't know.
They're in town. They're doing their training camp here, not in Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado, where the Philadelphia 76ers are. But, yeah, there's just a...
UCSD.
Yeah, UCSD. So there's just a bit of a, back and forth from the Lakers and the Nuggets. Remember the Nuggets swept the Lakers in the conference finals last year. And
what's the back and forth?
At the parade, they just got a little like, hey, we own the Lakers kind of stuff, and the Lakers heard it, and, they're ready to. And, athletes will use anything for a little extra motivation, especially here at the start of the season. And those two teams will play in the opening game of the season this year. So
we got him?
Paulie's tracking him down.
It's all good.
I feel like we've been a little bit here and there this morning for some reason.
Yeah, but for some reason.
There we go. All right, let's go out to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. We are joined by our friend Adam Jones, who has made his way back to the States for the wild card round of the MLB playoffs in Milwaukee, where the Brewers could be eliminated later today by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Adam, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm out on the course. My phone didn't ring. I had it on loud, and like you said, man, the Brewers they're in some trouble today. The Diamondbacks are hungry, and they're throwing their ace Zach Gallen, so it's going to be a very fun game tonight.
That was a brilliant, brilliant managerial job by Torey Lavulo last night. I mean, like really, really good. And obviously the guys have to execute, makes the manager look brilliant. But that was pretty amazing. Brandon Pfaadt did not get the job done. He actually minimized, though, AJ. I mean, they had him on the ropes bad early, and they couldn't capitalize.
I mean, it was when I seen the rotation, I'm like, okay, why isn't Kelly and Gallen throwing 1 and 2? But Pfaadt, he kept them in the game. He could have easily given up 6, 7.
Easily.
But he kept them in the game, and you respect that. And then Thompson came in. I mean, I think the play of the game was the double play by Longoria.
Unreal.
Off of Tyrod Taylor. I mean, that's a tough read for Adames. Everybody's going to say freeze. I mean, that's a tough read and just a hell of a play by a Gold Glover Longoria, who's been in those situations before.
I forgot he played still. I forgot when he made the play, and I was like, oh, my God, yeah, that's right. He's there turning back the clock, AJ, in the playoffs, making a couple of really nice plays yesterday. I don't know how he hit. I don't remember him getting a knock or anything, but they had plenty of offense, so got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, they timely hitting. And I always said this, if they take a lead, they have a really good bullpen, and it showed yesterday. So, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough day for the Brewers. They just have to get the Gallen early and keep the gas pedal down. And that's one thing they've been struggling with is, they're not that great when coming from behind. So hopefully, they put some runs up early and give Peralta some breathing room.
So Corbin Carroll homered in his first playoff game yesterday. Royce Lewis homered in his first 2 playoff at-bats for the Minnesota Twins. What do you remember about your first playoff game? I mean, were you nervous more than usual? How did you handle that the first time out in the postseason?
I mean, incredibly nervous. It was 2012 wild card game against Texas, and I mean, it was my first time in the playoffs. We fought for 4 or 5 years, getting our tails handed to us, and then we're one of the last teams standing, and it was great. But of course, definitely nerves. I think that's just human nature. But once the game started, it's like, all right, let's play this game. But it's just different in the playoffs because, like, when I'm here, I was in the stands. The Brewers do something, you cheer, and the Diamondbacks do something, and you just hear the family section, and it's really cool, and everybody stares at them angrily. So that was one thing I heard. Oh, yeah, paid real angrily, like, hey. But, I think humans have nerves. You should have a little bit of butterflies. But once the game starts, it's another game, and just go out there and play it. Dude, Carroll, he crushed that ball. And one of my Spanish friends who was with me, he was like, that little dude got some punch. I was like, he got a lot of it.
He just doesn't look. We talked about it earlier, talking to Adam Jones here on Ben and Woods. You look at him, you're like, he's not gonna hit a ball 440, and he does. He's just like this little ball. It's like watching Altuve hit, right? I mean, just crush that ball. He's been so good for them, stealing bags as well. I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you had a chance to watch. I'm sure you caught up on the highlights. Man, I've never seen Tampa Bay confuses me, AJ, more than any other team in baseball. They're always in it. Their offense has gone ice cold, 1 run in 29 games. What's going on? Their sloppy defense yesterday in Tampa as well, 4 errors. It's just, are they a good team or are they a bad team? I mean, objectively, I think they're a good team, but man, when October gets here, it gets weird lately.
They're a really good team that is facing that are having some annoying injuries right now. And, obviously losing Franco, losing McClanahan. I mean, they've just been battling some major injuries. And you know what? Other teams are caught up to their stuff. Rosarena's having a little slow second half. Diaz still maintained, but a little slower second half than the first half. So I think other teams are just like, look it, man. You don't have to worry about the mystique. You're not worrying about the big arm of McClanahan.
Yep.
They beat Glasnow yesterday. You beat him. Like you're setting yourself up for success.
Hadn't really forgotten it, but was reminded yesterday about how dangerous the Philadelphia Phillies can look, especially in the postseason. When that place gets rocking at Citizens Bank Park, I mean, they look like they're almost impossible to beat. Padres couldn't do it last year, and it looks like Red October all over again, Adam.
They are good and have experience. They didn't stress out early in the year when they weren't playing that well. When Trey Turner wasn't playing that well, the fans stood behind him, gave him a standing ovation, put up a billboard for him. I just showed that, look at, man, hey, it's a long season. It's 162. The game isn't over at game 60. So, they just know the long game. And they got hot at the right time. Everybody was hot since August 1st, and they're rolling. Nola, Wheeler. I mean, that lineup is not one lineup you want to face, especially right now, and they're swinging it. So the Phillies are going to be a very, very fun team, and they're going to give the Braves again that run for their money again, I believe.
All right, let's not write our Marlins off yet. You still got a couple games. Those guys fight. They fight hard. They fought last night. They were swing away. Jorge Soler was a swing away. Missed it. Hanger missed it. Popped it up. Wanted to ask you, AJ. So you were in Rome for the Ryder Cup. Disappointing outcome. What was the experience like, though?
I couldn't have dreamt of a better experience.
Wow.
I mean, it was fantastic. Fantastic. The camaraderie, the smack talking. I mean, these guys play with each other all the time, and now it's separated. It's just like the WBC or the World Cup, where we're boys, but in this tournament, hey, I'm going for your neck. And you seen the caddies getting after it. Only reason why we lost was because the first four, they went up 4-0 early on Friday, and after that they were playing not to lose, and USA made a valiant effort. But that's one experience that was unbelievable. And I know they're doing Bethpage in 25, and then back to Ireland. Ireland. I'm doing the Ireland one already. I'm gonna rent a castle. And I'm definitely going to
rent
do
a
that.
castle.
I'm renting a castle.
We're coming with you.
We're coming.
If you've got like 89 bedrooms in your castle, we're going to fill one of them for you for sure. Coming up at the Ryder Cup.
I would want to go to the next one, but I don't want to go to Long Island.
I mean, how many? You've been to a bunch of PGA Tour events, right, Adam? It's so different at the Ryder Cup. I mean, you got the crowd chanting like it's a soccer match out there with, just making huge noise and booing. The United States. It's a totally different experience.
Totally different. I mean, it like I said, it's winter ball, but golf. It is FC Barcelona versus Real Madrid. It was insane. You had people dressing up, obviously, camaraderie with wrestling these guys wearing the Men of Troy outfits. I'm like, you guys are extremely hot, and it is heavy. You got on like 30 pounds of armor. I don't know what y'all doing, but again, if that's your bucket list item, continue to do it. But no, man, the atmosphere, the crowd when Cantley hit that shot, everybody's waving the hats because he doesn't want to wear a hat. Anything that gave the momentum to anybody, it was there, and the fans just made it just amazing. And there's jarring back and forth with fans too, but it was great. That's what it's about. It's about competition. And after that, everybody went and had some pasta.
Are you playing golf right now, AJ?
Yeah.
Who are you playing with?
This old man.
Oh, you're like a solo single?
No, I'm playing with this older guy. I told him I had a phone call, and he was like, no worries, man.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were playing with like CC or something.
No, he's in Tampa. He's doing that series.
Okay. All right. Well, tell him we said hi.
Well, I'll let you get back to your round. I've heard Wisconsin golf is amazing, though. They got Whistling Straits, Sand Hills. I need to get out there. So have fun. We will talk to you next week, man. Thank you so much.
Anytime, brother.
Appreciate you.
All right, get back to his round. Yeah, Wisconsin
Can we go to
golf
the castle, though, with him? For real?
Well,
in Ireland?
Castles have like hundreds of rooms.
It's like 2-room castles.
Yeah, it's not like an Airbnb where, we only got like 4 beds, so we don't have room for you. It's a castle. You have room for us.
If I wonder if he would say, yeah, you guys get here and you can stay in my castle.
Yeah.
I don't think he's kidding when he says he'll rent a castle.
I don't think he's kidding either.
What if he, at the end, pulls out his phone and is like, all right, so $75,000 a day divided by... You guys each owe me $14,950.
You share the castle Airbnb. Can you just Airbnb a castle nowadays?
I'm sure you can.
Told you the room service wasn't free.
As long as he puts it in writing that we can roll.
Does it come with like serfs?
Yes, serfs.
Like work the land.
Of course, Ben wants a butler there to serve him. A castle isn't good enough. I need to make sure there's actually a butler there to take care of me.
That's no fun to be in a dank, empty castle without someone tending the big fireplaces.
It'd be so fun.
Keeping it nice and warm on a chilly Irish evening.
Woodsy, are you coming to the match day? No, I'm going to bed rot in this castle today. That's what I'm going to do.
I don't know. I don't feel like the Wi-Fi is going to be tremendously.
No.
Through all those stone walls and stuff, you're not going to get your best service.
Just read a book. Read a book. You'll be fine. I love AJ, man. Such a good dude joining us from wherever he is, golf course, Barcelona, Milwaukee, the Ryder Cup, whatever it may be. Just a great, great get for the Ben & Woods program. I love that dude.
Adam Jones, all of our guests appearing on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet find new roads. All right, we've got 2 hours still to go. Would like to hear for some tier ones. I mean, are you resigned to the fact that they're going to run it back with A.J. Preller and Bob Melvin next year?
Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's the right move?
Do you accept it? Or are you going to rail against it?
You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. Whatever they do, you have to swallow it.
More Ben and Woods coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Halfway home on a Wednesday. Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. Really appreciate you being here, making us. You have many options in the morning. We appreciate you choosing Ben and Woods. I love when they say that on airplanes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have many choices in your travel.
Yeah.
We thank you for choosing United
American.
Airlines.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Right. Love that. Always makes me feel you're welcome. You're very welcome.
I like air travel.
Yeah, I mean,
Add
I do
that to the
too.
list there, Paulie. I do.
I do.
I know it's uncomfortable and you get squeezed in the seat and the service isn't great, but for me, it's always still a rush to fly somewhere else.
It's true.
And, go through that whole process. You're flying in the sky.
I know.
I never,
it still blows me
I
away.
never totally get the awe of that, of actually like flying in the sky.
Seeing it,
I still get that.
Seeing it
even now.
through your kids' eyes, too, as they look down and the clouds are right below you. And Bo is just like, Dad, what can we he goes, what happens if we jump into those? I go, well, we go right through them. They're just water.
I remember the first time, like, really seeing and appreciating. Like, I went on a plane when I was really young, and then I didn't go on a plane until I was like 15, 16 years old. And to look out the window and see the sea of clouds, and you can see the sun above the clouds.
It's
like when you're
amazing.
up there, you're like, this
You're
is
like
nuts.
eye level with it.
Yeah.
It's really
I
cool.
love
This is
seeing
crazy.
the cars like little ants
Yeah.
See
driving
the
on the
curvature
roadway
of
way
the
down
earth.
there.
It's
And
really cool.
I don't like flying. I'm not a good flyer. I love going places, of course, but
Beats driving with two kids. Beats driving.
Yeah.
I have a 2-hour
Fair
limit.
enough.
Nowhere outside of 2 hours until they're, I'm going to say 14 and 12.
See, my whole life I've just gone up and down the West Coast. Got the 45-minute flights to Vegas or Phoenix.
That's
I
all you
don't
need.
do a whole lot of traveling outside of those areas. So when I think about flying across the country, a 5-hour flight gives me anxiety.
It's not fun. I mean, the flight to Chicago was about 4, and it's like you're rocking back. Bo was fine. He didn't make a peep. It was his dad that was like, "Oh my god!" Like, I want to go back to New York at some point and go to New York again. I haven't been there forever. But I'm like, 6 hours? Nah, I'm good.
My whole
do it.
Seattle to San Diego, it's 2.5-hour flight.
It's
so
great.
like 3
Same
hours
as
is
when I
my
go
limit.
home.
I'm 6'4". Like after about 2.5 hours, I'm like, I gotta move. I
Yeah.
gotta stretch. I do not like this.
It's true.
Bro, me and Megan are planning. We're going to Singapore next year. It's a 17-hour flight.
You're done for.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
You're done for. I've done them. I've done the 20-hour flight.
I've been told Singapore Airlines is great.
It doesn't
And
matter
there's a
how
little
great
more,
it is.
There's more room on those long international flights. But I'm like, how much more room?
Yeah, you're not flying first class because
Right.
it's $50,000 a ticket.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even the price increase from regular economy to premium economy, whatever the next level is, it's still like 200%. It's
yeah.
double. You're doubling
joke.
the ticket price.
bro,
which-
there's no way you
probably
can.
gonna end up
There's no way
doing.
you can sell me on a 17-hour flight. There's just none. No way. But
Well,
it's really good.
really nowhere to break it up in the middle either.
No.
Going across the Pacific Ocean.
no,
I
not
mean,
really. That's a long one.
You're-
but
you're-
it's an
you're done
adventure,
for.
though.
I
It's an
don't know
adventure.
what I'm going to do.
Xanax. Is
A lot of
obvious.
drugs.
Yeah. Just pass out. It's the only thing to do.
Stay up for 2 days straight.
Yeah.
Fancy Ben has always had the dream of getting to fly. You know those, like first class, the whole cabins where it like you can lay down
Done
and
it.
sleep.
It's
You've
awesome.
done it before?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never
did it
been
on
one
my
of those.
honeymoon.
Oh,
Got in the plane. It's Ben and Woods, by the way. You're on 97.3 The Fan. We got on the plane. It was our honeymoon trip, and we went to we flew to London, and we got in there, and we looked at each other. We cheers champagne, and we each had a glass of champagne, and I took a little sleeping aid, and the next thing I know, we are now, Mr. Would you like a cookie? The flight was over, so I didn't even really enjoy it. I mean, I slept. I woke up. We were, what's happening? Then we touched down 30 minutes later. I was like, oh, all right. It was great. And then I got really sick on that trip. We were starting this job, and I flew back. We flew back from Paris, and I couldn't sleep. Not
Did you go
awake.
on the way there? It was direct?
I went to London first, and
But
we just
yeah,
stayed
but
there.
from
from
San Diego?
LA to London or where?
Did you stop on the East Coast?
Did we fly out of LA? No, we flew out of here. I think
San Diego to London?
Yeah,
oh,
I
they
think
do
we
have.
did.
I
Yeah.
think they do have those now.
if memory serves. But no, it's well worth it. It's really,
Well,
really.
It's
well
hard to
worth
say
it.
it's worth it. It's definitely
It's better.
a treat.
It's way better.
But it, like as Paulie said, I mean, you're ending up in the same place as everybody else on that plane, and someone paid, whatever it is, $1,000 for the ticket, and you paid $15,000 for the ticket to get to the exact same place, just to be a little more comfortable for 12 hours. I mean,
worth it if you have it.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at that middle ground, the premium economy.
The price of a
17 hours, dude.
A nice mid-sized 5-year-old automobile to be a little more comfortable for 12 hours.
Yeah, you're dead. It's dead. You're dead. There's nothing fun about any flight over really 2 hours.
And Megan was like, "Oh, there's some routes where we can go to Tokyo first, and then have a 36-hour layover, explore that a little bit, and then go to Singapore." But I'm like, that's still like 12 hours and 5 hours. I think
that's
I'd
even
rather,
worse.
I think I'd rather just knock out the 17.
Matthew on the chat says, I flew from New York to Iraq in a cargo plane. Do not recommend. All right.
Thank you for your service, Matt.
There can definitely be worse ways to fly than economy class, to be sure.
In a cargo plane. Was he military?
I would assume.
Iraq.
Definitely
It could have
would
been
assume
FedEx.
that.
He said cargo plane.
That's true, too.
Yeah, UPS.
Either way, still not comfortable going trip like that for sure.
I won't bitch about economy then.
Man, that's going to be a long-ass flight, dude. It's going to be a long-ass flight.
Yeah.
You better come back with loads of content. And I mean loads of content. Place is going to be, it's good. It's a good time.
Singapore. We're going we're going to Phuket in Thailand for a couple days.
It's spelled Phuket. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like Phuket.
I believe it's Phuket.
Phuket. But it's
definitely a long U.
Phuket.
Ooh. Or yeah. But it's not an sound.
It's ooh, not
Because you want to make sure you don't pronounce it with the sound.
Right. Scared you for a sec, didn't I? Phuket.
We have some callers on the line.
Let's go.
We wanted to talk about your thoughts on what apparently
Will
appears
you idiots shut up about
air travel.
Seems to be Bob Melvin and AJ Preller sticking around together. Nothing confirmed, mind you, from the San Diego Padres as of yet. But let's go out to Sam. You're with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Hello.
Fantastic. How about you?
I'm good. I just don't understand what's going to change until details actually come out about whether they're both staying or both going or one or the other. I don't know what actually changes. I don't know why all of a sudden AJ Preller's going to be like, okay, you know what, Bob, you do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. And I just don't understand it.
I mean, join the crowd, man. Join the line of people that are confused by it. I said it yesterday. I'll stand by it again today because nothing's happened, really. Nothing happened yesterday. Other than a pretty vague report that allegedly they're both coming back. Nobody's confirmed it, right? So that's vague. Other organizations that fell short are doing their press conferences. They have a plan in place. They're telling us this is what we're doing. Don't agree with it. We played some audio of Jerry DiPoto earlier. I don't even agree what he said. Now, if they get up there and say, hey, we're actually doing you guys a favor, I'm going to lose my mind. But it does give me a little bit, the longer it goes on, the more I think, okay, they're just going to try to run this thing back. And you just would hate, this is my worried brain. Will you agree with me, Ben, that there was pettiness this year on Bob Melvin's side? Did you feel like there was some pettiness?
The situation with Matt Carpenter kind of staying on the roster but not playing was always unusual. We pointed that out from the beginning.
Now,
what's going on here? Why is Matt Carpenter still on the roster if he's not playing? Now, eventually he did get back into some games, and they used him later in the season.
It felt extremely like the movie Moneyball.
Did it? Yes.
Pena's playing first.
He's
actually, no, he's not.
Did it feel petty last year when Jorge Alfaro was on the playoff roster but didn't play as well? Now, I think that was flipped. I think that was a different scenario. I think Bob, given the opportunity as a catcher, wanted to get Austin Nola some time off. You can't have that. You can't have it. It can't continue. Whatever it is, the pettiness, I'll show him, that's not a winning formula. And I think they're both to blame for it. If the reports are true, they butt heads. Bob doesn't like AJ sticking his nose in. AJ doesn't like the way Bob does things. What are we doing?
There's egos on both ends.
Of course. No one is blameless in this. Nobody.
Bob clearly, at least we believe, had some pettiness. Like, all right, fine. If you're going to give me Matt Carpenter, I'm just not going to play him.
I'm just not going to play him.
Preller, his ego played the factor.
I signed him.
Well, I don't care. Like, if he's on the roster, so swallowing that pride would say, all right, my manager's not going to play this guy. We got to make a move.
But there were so many, I don't even want to say digs, but there were so many like veiled. Yeah, I mean, look, you nobody else is walking through the door right now. You're on with the guys that you have. I mean, that's very clearly saying we need help in this department, and you're not giving it to us. It's clear as day. So that I'm all for a reunited, and hey, we have fixed it, and we are bosom buddies. You cannot have that garbage next year.
I mean, Peter Seidler has asked for change. He specifically said, we will make the changes necessary. Now, some people don't see any change unless the personnel is changed. Now, the Angels, Perry Manazian said yesterday, this is on me. My fault that the team did not perform the way we thought. So I fired Phil Nevin. That's what that's the thing. I mean, he said yesterday it wasn't Phil Nevin's fault. It's my fault. But Phil Nevin was the one who got fired.
I said it when we opened the show yesterday. Nev was the sacrificial lamb for Perry Manazian's massive failures as a GM with generational talent every year.
Could it not be a positive thing that the Padres at least didn't make Bob Melvin the sacrificial lamb for someone else's failures?
I think it's a positive thing. I want Bob Melvin here. But I will say that kind of stuff, you can't. It's really hard to win. I'm not saying you can't. I'm sure it's happened before. It's really hard to win without a little bit of togetherness from the manager and the GM.
The big question is when you're change, which Peter Seidler's the boss, and he has asked for change. In the statement, he said, we want a thorough review, and we need to make the changes necessary to make this team a championship ball club. If you're the employee, are you just nodding and going, yeah, Peter, whatever you say, Peter, yeah, Peter, we'll change? Or are you actually, digging deep, making some hard realizations, and putting in that work to make some changes?
Bob Melvin has how many years managing in the big leagues and playing? 30 plus?
Correct.
A.J. Preller's got 9 years at the helm of the San Diego Padres, and he had experience with the Texas Rangers as well in other capacities. You see either of these guys changing the way they do business at this stage in their lives and careers, and the hubris that I think probably both of them have? I don't.
So you think they're telling Peter Seidler they'll change, but they really won't?
I think that's what a lot of people that try to keep their jobs do. I don't think it's not on them. I do the same thing. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I won't do that anymore.
Well, then in many ways it's on Peter, and I understand his situation right now. But if you want to stick with the same people, but you want change, then you got to be on top of it. You got to be, watching and, getting regular reports. All right, how are we changing? What are we doing? How are you following through? There has to be follow through on that as well.
So here's this is a different take. Rory tweets in, do the Padres really even owe us anything? The stories about these issues were created by writers, but now we're demanding a resolution to something we're not certain exists. Bomel and Preller could be besties. We really don't know, though. I would agree with that if it weren't for... Now, listen, no reporter is going to say, hey, I talked to several players. They requested anonymity because they're still here and under contract, and they all said, hey, it sucks. They don't like each other. It's a civil war. It's like when my parents got divorced, we're all in the middle. So I tend to believe that there are issues. And again, like what we just mentioned, Rory, talking throughout the year of, hey, you play with the roster you've got. We've heard it 1,000 times. 1,000 times. Because Bob has to do press every day. If AJ had to do press every day, maybe he would have said some stuff. He doesn't have to do it twice a day like Bob Melvin does. But AJ Preller commits to 162 games pregame, postgame. I'm sure something would have come out, Ben, that would have sounded, petty. I would imagine.
Yeah, it's different. When you say, well, it's writers created this.
They did not create that.
No, I mean, it wasn't just an opinion piece. Like, hey, I looked at the Padres and they look dysfunctional to me. It looked
dysfunctional, right.
That's not what it is.
What happened.
It's actually people inside the organization.
And I do submit that I believe that they do owe the fans something. I do. I firmly believe that they owe the fans resolution or explanation.
Yeah, it's more complex than just, hey, if I don't like the way Nabisco does their business, I don't buy Ritz crackers.
Right.
This is it's a community asset.
It
may
is.
be owned by Peter Seidler, but it's an asset for the whole community. And you have a responsibility, I think, and I think Peter takes that seriously, to run it as well as you can, to give your fans hope. It brings hope to a city. It doesn't just bring entertainment. It's not just a distraction to watch games on TV or go to Petco Park to line, an owner's coffers. It means more than that. There's no question that sports means more than that to us. So there is a responsibility for professional, teams to, keep that in mind, that they do owe their fans, even the ones who aren't paying. By the way, even the ones who don't buy season tickets, even the ones who just watch on TV,
listen on the radio,
or even read the box score in the morning. If they live in San Diego and they consider themselves a Padres fan, you have a responsibility to those people.
I couldn't agree more. Look at the Phillies.
Do what you can.
And look at the Phillies, and look how they were talking about it on the broadcast last night. They've fully, they were talking about how in lockstep the team is with the city and the fans. Padres had that last year, no question. Hell, they may even had it this year with 3 million people going through the turnstile. So you're in danger of losing it, though. That's what I'm telling you. It doesn't always last forever. So you have to fix the root of the problem. And they both come back. It's definitely something to watch.
All right, Sam's call should spark some more there. 833-288-0973. We're talking Bob Melvin and A.J. Preller. Join us coming up next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, let's do a little geography test because we just heard Paulie's going to Singapore in a year, a little over a year.
Yeah, next November.
Adam came in and said, "What? Wait, why is Paulie going to Singapore? We never really discussed that."
That's so true.
You gonna ask me,
Paulie? Why are you going to
Paulie,
Singapore?
why are you going to Singapore?
We are going to Singapore. I guess officially it'll be for my wife's birthday. We're gonna take a couple weeks, probably 10 days. 10,
And making
10,
the rest of
14
us
days.
look like absolute a-holes.
Yeah.
I bought my wife flowers and a mug for her birthday.
Some guys are just built different.
Paulie's taking his bride halfway across the world.
No, we are.
You look like a-holes right now, man.
We are going to Singapore. Two of us moved to Singapore a little over a year ago, and they were only on a 2-year work contract that they were going to be out there. They extended it another year.
Singapore, by the way, somebody said
Ooh,
in
I
the
like that.
chat. That's
Singapore.
amazing. Thank you,
Singapore.
Balsamic Vinny. Singapore.
So we were like, oh, we got to get out there while we have some friends out there that can show us around, show us everything from the local standpoint. And it wasn't looking good. And then they said, all right, we're actually extending another year. We'll be here till whatever date. Said, let's make this happen. And so we just kind of looked around. We were finding some dates. And yeah, so we landed on 10, 14 days in November. We haven't booked anything yet. They have a
10 to 14 days you're going to be gone?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You should do a podcast called 14 Days in November about your trip to Singapore.
Good.
When you get back. So Singapore, of course, is on the continent of
Asia.
Asia. Very easy, right?
Yes.
They just announced where the 2030 World Cup is going to be played. Now, the next World Cup is here in the United States and Mexico and Canada. It's like all of North America hosting the World Cup. So I'm going to tell you where the next World Cup is. You tell me which continent it's on. The next World Cup will be hosted in Morocco, Spain, Portugal, Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay.
South America.
Multiple.
It's gonna
Three.
be
Europe.
Three, yeah.
Three continents.
Three
Europe,
continents.
South America.
Africa,
and
Europe,
Africa.
and South America. That is a truly World
That is
Cup.
a world.
Yeah, FIFA announced
It's a
this
World Ass
morning.
Cup right
so,
there.
so what
the
they're
World
going
Ass
to
Cup.
do, it's the 100-year anniversary of the World Cup. So to honor the first World Cup,
What year again?
2030.
2030.
Yeah. So to honor the first World Cup, the first games will be played in South America, where it started: Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay. Then they will move for the rest of the games to Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. Of course, Spain and Portugal on the Iberian Peninsula in Europe, way down on the coast of the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Ocean. Morocco is just right across, though, the Strait of Gibraltar on the other side in Africa, the northernmost tip of Africa. So while those countries are all in a very close area, they're technically on different continents as well.
That just came out.
That's
amazing.
That is the breaking news for the World Cup in 2030. Of course, the next one again is here, Mexico, and Canada. So they are.
So if you wanted to go to that, you're spending tickets $1 billion. If you know,
we want to go to multiple games in multiple countries.
There's a lot of soccer fans in San Diego, a lot. So if somebody is thinking right now, well, the good news is you have 6 years to start pinching your pennies, and you can go to all of those games.
You'll get to go to one in L.A. before that.
No, but I mean, now you're like, do I even want to go to that one? If I could just save and go to North America or go to South America.
The soccer fans are so diehard.
So diehard.
There's someone who's going to try to go to a game in every single one of those countries.
Oh,
yeah, 100%.
At some point, yeah. That's
awesome.
Which will be an insane travel schedule. But, they just announced that. That's the breaking soccer news this morning. 6 nations, all automatically, by the way, getting into the World Cup. Every single one of the host countries already has their spot, their ticket punched for the World Cup now in 2030.
That's pretty solid. That'll be really cool. That's truly a World Cup. Paulie, are you now in Singapore? The laws are different. Have you done some research on some of the laws over there?
Oh yeah, like I said, I got friends that live there.
That's
so
right.
They've
They've done it all.
All about it. Yeah, I mean stuff that is
legal,
totally normal and legal here. You get imprisoned over there. So I got to be careful.
Being the selfish person that I am, what's the month again? No, November.
It'll be next November.
Just dead period. Padres coming off of a fresh 79-win season, and we're in here talking about, is Bob Melvin going to get extended? What happened?
I'll be beachside in
Paulie
Bali.
will be in Bali. We'll be in here with Italian Paul or Adam.
Paulie's smart.
It's very smart.
Very wise.
That's a great time to plan a trip. Not for us, for you.
Well, and it'll dip into the Thanksgiving week too, I'm sure. So it's gonna be one of those, 14 days off, but only 7 or 6, paid days off.
Yeah.
Weekends,
That's
couple
smart.
holiday
That's
days.
smart. That's how you do it.
Figure it out.
Sing a Paulie. I can't wait to hear all about it.
I've never really traveled internationally. Canada, Vancouver when I lived in Washington.
Right.
Been to Tijuana a few times.
Yeah.
Been to Ensenada. But other than that,
Customs was kind of a beating when we went internationally.
You always have to pack your patience when you travel internationally. Woods
you
is
do.
not the best at packing his patience.
My patience is
I'm the
very
same
thin.
way.
Very thin.
You can tune in to Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti every Friday night here at 6 p.m. on 97.3 The Fan. Boomer Esiason and Mike Valenti breaking down all the NFL games, previewing all the action. Also get it on the free Odyssey app. It's presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos, brought to you by those who drink it, and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. All right, let's get back to the phones when we come back. Bob Melvin, A.J. Preller, looks like they're both staying. Do you believe they can work together? They can set aside their differences for the good of the San Diego Padres.
Do you care?
We'll get to that coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Love this song.
You both, man.
Really good one.
Good cover from No Doubt as well.
It's true. 833-288-0973. We're talking Bob Melvin, AJ Preller. You okay with the fact that it appears they're both coming back next season? Get back out.
Think. It's not confirmed.
It's not confirmed. It's weird. Is it a story of the Padres, when you don't make a change, do you have to confirm that? I mean,
we are not doing anything differently.
Like literally, you could ask them every day.
So what the Mariners did yesterday?
Should we say, hey, tomorrow the Ben and Woods and Paul program, we're going to feature Ben and Woods and Paul. We're not making any changes tomorrow.
But with what the Mariners did yesterday, I saw Aaron Boone on John Boy for his end of the season wrap up on a podcast.
That's Aaron Boone and John Boy thing, though.
Right. But he was doing his State of the Union type deal. He's coming back. I saw Farhan did a thing yesterday as well, maybe the day before. Is that not something the Padres do?
No, they have done that in the past. There have been
Is it
exits.
sporadic?
No, it's been pretty consistent.
Well, I asked you this last week, and you said they don't do this.
No, they do. I mean, what I usually remember in the past is the day after a non-playoff season, even a playoff year, after
this one,
after you're eliminated, whatever, after the season is over, the Monday, they generally have like an hour where the locker room, the clubhouse will be open. Media can go in. Guys are going to be cleaning out their lockers for the offseason, and you can ask them questions. And generally then AJ and the manager will have an availability as well where you'll get a chance to talk to them and ask them questions. That's how I remember it happening generally in the past. Is there like some bylaw in baseball that says you absolutely have to do that? Not really. But if you don't, well, it leads to a lot of questions and speculation, which is what we've gotten. So kind of unfounded speculation, a lot of guessing about what's going on.
Things were great last year. Even losing, you lose in the NLCS, still a pretty good year. Did they do one last year?
I thought they did at the end after
Peter came
the
on our
playoffs.
show like the week after the season ended, but
I feel like they did a post-mortem at the end, but I can't remember for sure. If they don't mind everyone speculating and talking about them, then they can just go on the way things are going. The offseason will continue with or without a press conference. We'll just rampantly and probably wildly inaccurately speculate about what's going on without any guidance or direction from club officials about what they're doing. All we can do is sit here and guess, same as fans.
They're aging me 2 days to one. For every day that goes by, I age 2 days.
But if you also don't have any great answers to give, sometimes a press conference isn't a very good idea.
Maybe you're still working through things.
Yeah. If your answer is we're going to try to win 54% of our games,
and consider yourselves lucky,
not one less, maybe no press conference is better than that press conference.
Fair enough.
All right, we got callers on the line. That was Jerry DePoto.
So we're actually doing the fan base a favor.
He's like, I messed up.
It's like the most nervous laugh.
Stuck my foot in my mouth there, didn't I?
I'm a dead man. That's going national. That's the I'm going national laugh that he gave. I'm dead.
Like Adam coming in and saying, hey, I need you to do 6 more promos. And I'm actually doing you a favor.
I'm doing you guys a favor.
I'm doing you a favor by setting that up.
So we're actually doing the fan base a favor.
You okay?
833-288-0973. Well, Woods composes
Kendry
himself.
Morales with a home run. Vladimir Guerrero had key hits along the way.
We will check traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto Family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, a 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Troubled ride on northbound side of the 805 out of the South Bay. Got this collision near Telegraph Canyon blocking the HOV lane. Then up ahead near H Street, crash being cleared out of middle lanes. Traveling on northbound 163 just past the 8, we're getting reports of some wood debris in the 2 right lanes. On North 15, clearing an accident right around Claremont Mesa Boulevard. Stop by into the 30, San Diego Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change Centers. You don't have to get out of your car, and it usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for discounts and locations nearest you. Valvoline Oil Change Centers are open 7 days a week. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
The ask and ye shall receive. Adam just sent me the clips of the 2 seasons of Bob Melvin, 2 end of season press conferences featuring Bob Melvin and AJ Preller when the year was over. So yes, it's absolutely something the Padres usually do, and it's a bit unusual, more than a bit unusual that they have not done so yet.
I'd be interested in going back and listening to those. And Adam sent them to
They're there.
us. So
in the break, if you want to find some interesting tidbits about what they didn't do, what changes were going to be made, you can go and hold their feet to the fire.
Let's rip some calls.
Let's go to Lucas. You are next up with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Hey, Lucas.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good, buddy.
Good. Hey, I just want to say I totally support Manny right away for sticking it out till the end of the season.
Sure.
Okay.
I think if you wait, it's a difference of 2 weeks, and if you can't win 5 or 6 games out of 10 without one person, that's not a team that's going to win the World Series.
Oh, we saw that this year. But I get what you're saying. I've come around on it basically just after hearing how important it was to all his teammates and other players are like, man, that says a lot about him. That's one way of leadership.
But you don't want to hear next year if Manny misses a week and they lose, 4 of 7 games. Well, hey, it's early. We don't have Manny back. Well, yeah, but in September, you may wish that you had 2 or more of those games because it can be the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs as it was this year, Lucas.
Very true.
Yeah. And then I think none of us really knows what's going on. I think it's going to come down to, if you look at all the head coaches who are under AJ Preller, were they all saying the same thing about him, but it wasn't broadcasted like Bob Melvin? Or if you look at the last general managers that had Bob Melvin, were they having the same disputes with him? So I think
that's a good way to look at it. That's a good way to look at it. It's an interesting point that you bring up. Just based on what we've read, the piece that came out, I believe it was a couple of years ago, the Dennis Lynn and Ken Rosenthal piece. I think it was the one that they did in 21, maybe, talking about fractured relationships with Andy Green, Jace Tingler, and now seemingly Bob Melvin. I mean, look, if you're married 5 times, at some point, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you.
It's interesting he brings that up because I was thinking earlier today, pretty much everybody who's ever had a job has probably thought at one point or another about a coworker, a boss, like, it's just not my favorite person to work with. I disagree with them a lot. You don't always say it, though. You sometimes just keep it to yourself. And in most businesses, doesn't really matter because you don't have reporters asking your coworkers every single day, hey, off the record, what did Woods say about working for Adam?
Sure,
off the record, I won't attribute it to you, but
he loved it. He loved every day. Each day was better than the day before.
Does anyone wonder what Paulie and I could say about what Woods says? To us.
Why are you throwing me?
I'm not. This
is not really a hypothetical.
This is a random example.
Jesus Christ!
I'm just saying.
I had nothing to do with
If
this.
you know you're going to be in that business, is it smart of Bob Melvin to be telling his coaches how aggravating this guy is or what's going on, or maybe just keep it to yourself, and then none of these stories do get out, and you can at least, you may feel it at times, but you may not feel it at other times. Because I can tell you right now, I will say on the record, Woods has said a lot of good things about the people he works with here. Yeah. All the time. He loves working here. He loves Adam, loves Michael. Does that mean that there's never been something said about Adam, in 3-4 years that got under Woods' skin? And if that's the only thing that I write as a writer, I heard Woods said that Adam was just driving him crazy. I bet that's happened once or twice in the last 4 years. Doesn't mean you think that now. It doesn't mean you've always thought that. But someone could say that, I think honestly, that you have said that in the last couple of years. You don't always get the full picture when you're honestly reporting and what people are saying. Those people might not have the full picture of what's going on at any given moment in an organization.
Well, I mean, I think that's the only people you can talk to, people that have experienced it, right? And everyone in those pieces, and I know they're written in a way to portray a certain way.
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean it's not true.
No,
right?
I'm not saying it's not, but it's always more complicated than what one snapshot, one piece can. And even in those pieces, they said there were other people who said, "Nah, I think people are. It's not a civil war.
Right.
I mean, it's normal differences of opinion." There are other people who view it a different way. It is a matter of perspective, always, and it's a matter of time. When things were going well in 2022, there was no talk of civil war when the Padres were in an NLCS and things were going well. When things didn't go well this year, yeah. More nerves were frayed. More things were probably said behind the scenes. That's not that unusual. Is it cause for concern? Absolutely. Is it cause for panic and to believe there's no way that they can ever turn this around with AJ and Bob at the helm? I think that's going too far. I really do feel like that is not a conclusion you can draw just based on the things that we have heard so far.
Well, I mean, if you don't fix it, then yes, you're right. I mean, if you fix it and move forward in a positive direction and get on the same page and pull on the same rope and any other salesy phrase you want to use, sure. Yes. Ben, you could
synergy.
You could get two guys off the street and say, look, here's the roster, you go manage it. And I mean, you just never know. It's baseball. It's obviously very unpredictable. But it certainly helps, and I think it helps calm the fan base down a little bit when at least they think, hey, there is a plan. This is what we're doing. These are the changes we've made. And we're going to go forward. And you can say all you want, oh, yeah, we're going to try to win a World Series this year. We're going to have a long, continued, run of success. But until the proof is there, it's just lip service. It is. It's much like Jerry Dipoto saying, guys, trust me. Jerry Dipoto's made the playoffs one time in his tenure, just like A.J. Preller, really. So that's the tough part. It's people have bought in for a long time. They have. They bought in. They believed it. They made T-shirts, the whole thing. And now we're going to maybe potentially on the cusp of another year like this one. It's going to be hard to swallow.
Let's get to another phone call here. We got Raphael hanging on. Raphael, welcome to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey,
First-time caller, long-time listener.
Thank you, man.
Real quick, Paul, enjoy Singapore. I would do it 14 days. I hear nothing but good things about that city.
Why don't you do 21, Paul? How about that? How about 3? We'll just take a month off.
Split the difference. 17 days.
Okay,
17 days it is.
You guys aren't going to hear from Paul. He's going to be up and disappeared.
Screw you guys. I'll see you at spring training.
Great.
Yeah. So, real quick, guys, I'm going to hit the bullet point, Steve, on what you said. 2 of them, actually. Bob Melvin has 30-plus years experience as a player, manager. Bottom line is he's a really good manager.
Lifer,
okay? Yeah. 2, I'm going to reiterate what Braden Soprenin said last week when he took the helm when coach was off, and then you said something to him with the same thing. Don't believe what you read. Don't believe what's out there because, like you said, writers, journalists, they own the stories. So, if in fact it's true what they say about Preller, I think this is my opinion. You guys can disagree or agree.
Sure.
I think what needs to happen is Mr. Seiler needs to strip one of the positions that Preller has. Either stay a general manager or be a president of operations, but you can't have both because it's if you have 2 positions, then yeah, he's going to have control of everything. So it's either stay as a general manager, which we know he's really good at talent searching, whatever, but then have somebody, have that position as, president of operation because that everybody has to be accountable. Seidler is accountable for what Preller does and, Melvin's accountable what,
chain of command.
Preller has. Exactly.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, Raphael, I think, when you lay it out like that. The problem is in the real world, you never, especially the sports world, you never see a guy who has the, total control then go down a rung on the ladder. You never see a head coach say, hey, you know what? It's not quite working. We're going to make you the offensive coordinator of our team now, and we're going to make this guy the head coach.
It's happened.
They have to fire him. They have to move on and start fresh in those situations when it's not working out. I can't remember a time where
guys have taken demotions to coordinator positions. I'm pretty sure
from head coach on their own team.
I think so. I want to say yes.
Because when you go from president of baseball operations to GM and you hire someone above you.
Different teams. They go to a different team.
You go to a different team. But to stay in the same organization and go from president of baseball operations to say, I am now just the GM, and I answer to whoever we just hired.
Murphy, A.J. Preller's first managerial replacement, even in an interim role, he's like, I'm a manager now. He wasn't gonna come back in 2016 or whatever that was.
I think Glenn Hoffman did it once as interim manager of the Dodgers, and then went back to being third base coach. But he was just an interim, and he knew it was just going to be temporarily.
Well, that's when I see people tweeting all the time, just make A.J. Preller a scout. I'm like, good luck. Yeah. Nobody's going to be like,
that's the same thing. It's make North. I heard that with the Chargers.
Make him the offensive coordinator.
Just make him the offensive. Don't fire him. Just make him the offensive coordinator. It's
ego, it's pride, it's hubris, it's all that.
Some of that, but also it's just the dynamic. I mean, you got the same players in. And the room just changes immediately. Like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm just the offensive coordinator now. You listen to this guy over here who they just brought in. No one's ever really found a way to kind of make that work or try to even make that work on a professional level. So, yeah, Raphael, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I don't see in the real world that
it's pie in the sky a little bit.
That scenario actually taking place at Petco Park. All right, we'll come back. We got an hour left. Paulie's got a Reindl report. He has got a public service announcement that you need to know in the next 2 hours, right? You need to know it? All right.
A couple hours from now.
It's coming up on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're just 3 hours away from more playoff baseball. Didn't get your fill yesterday, Woods.
I did not. Not
Got
even
the
close.
same lineup today.
When the last game ended, I went, damn it. I need more.
Got the Texas Rangers and the Tampa Bay Rays. That is a 12 o'clock start. The Rangers with a chance to close out the series with Nathan Eovaldi on the mound against Zach Eflin. Then at 1:30, you got the Toronto Blue Jays and the Minnesota Twins. Jose Barrios against Sonny Gray. Twins trying to not only finally ended their losing streak at 18 straight playoff games. That was the longest losing streak, not just in baseball playoff history, in I think it was North American professional sports history. So football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever. Longest one of all time ended yesterday, and now the Twins could advance to the divisional round with a win. 4 o'clock, you've got the Arizona Diamondbacks looking to sweep the Milwaukee Rangers. That'll be
Who are the Milwaukee Rangers?
I'm sorry, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Zach Gallen, Freddie Peralta matchup.
Okay.
Good one.
Hold on. Remix.
And then finally, the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies. Braxton Garrett against Aaron Nola.
Good-ass matchups,
Yeah,
man.
I mean, you just had Zach Wheeler shut you down yesterday. Now you got to go with Nola in the next game.
Nasty.
Garrett got lit up, I think, in his last regular season start, too.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for our
It
beloved
doesn't look
Marlins.
great.
It's okay. I mean, it's a win. It's a win. They're a different team.
I think I cannot read the Toronto and Minnesota series.
Sonny Gray's really, really good. Playing at home. They're feeling it right now. Royce is healthy.
I think Texas and Arizona close it out today.
I think Texas and Arizona close it out as well.
I'm pulling for Miami, but I think
the Phillies may.
I could.
If you're watching, Skip, I'm so sorry. You looked very handsome on TV last night, I will say. Very
Did those in-between inning interview with Skip?
They're talking about how he came in and changed the culture there, him and Kemang as well.
I mean, there's two really good teams sitting there waiting for whoever advances in the Dodgers and the Braves.
Yeah.
But this Phillies team, just like last year, looks like how.
I
You
mean,
told me they're going to the World Series. I'm like, yeah, I can see
bro,
that. Bro,
1,000%.
100%.
There's just no doubt. And then the guys they brought in out of the pen last night, Alvarado, Soto, Kimbrel is the only one you feel like you have a shot at, really, which is weird because he still has nasty stuff. I don't know what the hell it is, but I don't even think it's like the Rangers. When Boch has to go to Chapman, he's probably like, oh, God, here we go.
I was surprised, speaking of Kimbrel, that the intentional balk is still a thing, even with PitchCom now.
Well, they said they were talking to David Cohn about it last night, and it's not just stealing signs like, oh,
because that's what I thought it was when they did it the first time a couple of years ago, and you had a pitcher. We're going, what's going on? Why is he balking on purpose? Well, hey, that run doesn't mean anything, and he doesn't want him standing out on second base looking in at the catcher. Well, now there's PitchCom. I thought, why are we doing that? But Kimbrel went to his whole, chicken wing and then just dropped the ball on the mound behind him to balk the runner over from second to third. And I go, are we still doing that?
David Cohn said it's also a comfort thing. Like, almost like out of you just don't want anybody over your shoulder, basically. If the run doesn't count, it doesn't really matter. So put him on third. I can lock in zone. He's not going to give location. You can give location. He's setting up outside. Whatever they.
It's
whatever.
Gonna be a slog for the catcher to have to line up way outside and then jump over on the inside pitch.
But so he also apparently Kimbrel likes the regular signs, and so when they moved around in the third, he was giving the old
back to the normal ones.
normal.
Okay, that makes sense.
The normal signs. It's a comfort thing, I think, at the end of the day. But I mean, look, the Marlins fought. They had chances. They had a couple of knocks and caught Wheeler sleeping one time and got on. And then Soler, I really expected it wouldn't have surprised me. Yuli Gurriel, too, who's been really good in the postseason his entire career, had a chance to tie up the game with a single. And I think it was Alvarado that came in and threw him like a 97-mile-an-hour cutter or slider down, and then there's no chance.
That
chance.
bullpen is nasty.
They're nasty, dude.
Phillies bullpen.
So,
we remember from the playoffs last year. It's mostly the same guys.
If you're the Braves, if you're the Dodgers, and you have grand visions of moving on, I think they're going to be a huge pain in your ass.
Yeah, well, the Phillies would get the Braves.
Yeah, Phillies would get the
winner
Braves.
of that series gets the Braves. So, and if the Diamondbacks win, it's the Dodgers. So we could have two divisional matchups in the division series starting this weekend.
It's going to be awesome.
All right, let's get to some headlines with Paulie and the Randall Report.
and get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul. All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Take it away, Singer Paulie.
Got a couple of stories. All 3 stories are going to help somebody here. Ben, you teased some news everyone can use. We'll get to
Correct.
that in a moment. I got a story that Ben has been wanting to discuss now for a few days, and I've got a story that Woods wanted to discuss.
All right, thank you.
So let's start with Woodsy's story. Help me out here. What's happening between Pat McAfee / ESPN / College Game Day and Washington State University? They've been getting into it over the last couple of weeks. So
I asked you to do this story because I want to be told.
No, I want you to
I
explain
don't know.
it to me
That's
because
why
I don't know either.
I need our resident Washington State.
Well, I know that
couple of weeks ago is
their
when it
head coach
started.
blasted ESPN
Yes.
and
For their hand in ruining the Pac-12.
Lee
I hope
Corso for
Lee Corso's watching.
He misheard what Lee Corso said, though, when Lee Corso said it's the Nobody Wants Us Bowl, as in no conference. The Big Ten doesn't want us. The Big 12 doesn't want us. And Washington State's head coach heard it as the Nobody Watches Us Bowl. And he said, hey, plenty of people watch Washington State football. We get good ratings. People are interested in our team. That's not what Lee Corso was saying, but he went on a big post-game rant
That was
after
the
their
week-
win over Oregon State.
That was the weekend in college football where like 5 coaches just attacked
Yeah, they were
90-year-old talking
Yeah.
heads.
But
So
I don't know about the
that's where
Pat
it
McAfee
started.
stuff.
Then I think McAfee was
Well,
giving some digs on his show
he
the next
defended
week.
he defended his College Game Day co-hosts because they were going after
Right.
Herb Street, they were going after Corso, and he defended the guys that he works
So this
with.
past weekend on College Game Day, if you don't know, Washington State, what's their flag's name?
Old Crimson,
Old Crimson.
I think.
It's-
That's what they call me when I sit out in the sun.
We
too
have
long.
one flying in front of our house right now.
It has-
Shelly put it up for this football season.
It has made the one flag though from Washington State has made an appearance in the background on College Game Day every single week for like the last 300 weeks.
Yeah.
It is always there. And yeah, Old Crimson made his 292nd appearance this past Saturday. And when they mentioned that, McAfee said, "Shut up, Washington State. I'm about sick of you."
Oh, wow.
This was the
Okay.
week after Washington State's coach went after Lee Corso. And then I guess you said McAfee went on his show that
Told him to-
simulcasted on ESPN.
Told him
and
to F off.
Told Washington State to F off, or a Washington
crazy,
State fan
dude.
called in or something. It's just getting ridiculous. And College Game Day is looking a little bit more like WWE right now.
It is looking, it's very strange. So they wrote an article about it in The Athletic, and Stuart Mandel wrote it, and it says, Pat McAfee didn't need to attack Washington State fans. It's not surprising he fired back, but it crossed the line. These folks' favorite school is about to get left for scraps because of a TV negotiation gone bad, and you're telling them to F off. So, yeah, Pat's in a lucky position. He pretty much
He
can
can do
say
whatever
and
he
do
wants.
whatever he wants. It's with zero repercussions.
I know the Washington State perspective is like, what did we do?
Well,
Yeah, what did we do?
Here's what they did. Because now that I've kind of been indoctrinated into the Washington State family by marriage, their fan base, very similar to a lot of San Diego sports fans. We feel
slighted.
Yeah.
Prideful.
Disrespected. Like, hey, we have a team just like everybody else. Why does everyone always overlook us and not care about us at all? And yeah, I mean, part of it's, where they're located and the, not the greatest history of success, but they've been playing a lot of good football lately, and they certainly deserve as much respect as any other top 25 team in the country right now. And they're simply asking for it. Hey, we're not ranked anywhere different than some of the other teams that you just fawn all over, and yet us, we feel like we don't get that same sort of respect. So you get a little sensitive about it. They're a sensitive fan base, just like we can be a sensitive fan base sometimes.
Agreed, 100%.
No, we live in like the 8th biggest city in the country.
It's also
Washington State
beautiful.
lives in Pullman.
Right. I mean, this is a perfect place to live.
Oh, well. Next up, wanted to talk about alternate broadcast of the weekend in the NFL. Ben wanted to talk about the Toy Story game that was aired on Disney+. I did not watch this live. This was the London game early on Sunday morning.
Well, I had assumed it was going to be like that Nickelodeon broadcast where they did the
slime,
the fake
touchdown.
slime, but it was the actual game with a bunch of weird, graphics superimposed. And that was not what they did. It was different.
I really liked what I saw. I thought it was innovative and new and informative for children, which is they're trying to expand kids' knowledge of the game. I think that's a good thing for the sport. They had, I guess, like little chips or something in each player's padding.
They already have that. If you watch the NFL, the high-level stats, you'll see like every play instantly has the X's and O's and where they all move around.
So good.
So they use that technology
Okay.
to like real time have players like animated Toy Story players
Yeah.
on the field running the plays
I
as
saw
they
like
were.
a split screen reel, and it was like the actual play up above and the Toy Story feed down below, and Trevor Lawrence rolled out to the left, and like they were able to track. It was simultaneous.
That's
It was
what I thought was just cool. I didn't
pretty
realize
cool.
it was going to be so technologically amazing to pull this off.
Yeah, I mean the broadcasters had like their whole weird virtual setup as well. The game took place in Andy's room. If you're familiar with Toy Story, it looked pretty cool. And what I liked was for kids, they explained for example, a punt. They were explaining how the game works.
Probably watch that as I'm going to be coaching.
Have you
flag
seen
football.
Toy Story, Woods?
Bits and pieces. Yeah, it's been on in our house.
Because it was they did it clever as well. Like Slinky Dog was the first down marker.
Yeah.
So, if they had to measure the Slinky
the
Dog.
claw dropped the ball down.
Yeah.
Are they
onto
doing
the
it
field.
again? Because I'd probably watch that with the kid.
I would think they'd do it again. That was pretty
I don't
successful.
know if they've announced if they're doing it. It was the most, the largest audience for any live event on Disney Plus in history.
Then they're going to do it again.
A way to get you to watch the Jags
Like
as well.
here's how they explained like what exactly is happening on a punt for a 3-year-old that may have no idea what's going on.
As they flip the field. Now, let's tell you what a punt is. Why would a team give the football away on purpose? Well, it's for field position purposes. Hang time is what you call it for how long the ball stays in the air. The longer it's in the air, the tougher it's going to be on that punt returner because it gives the punt coverage team more time to...
So it's very watered down for kids, cartoonized.
I think you just made up a word. Cartoonized.
Put my stamp on that
like
one.
it.
But you know what? I think it's a good idea.
Animated.
I think if you can get
It was animated.
cartoonized, animated. If you can get kids involved, I think it's great. Toy Story is an iconic children's movie, so I think it's a great fit, and I'd like to see the NFL do a little more of that.
Indeed.
Yeah, we surprised you.
I
You thought we'd all be haters on that.
I could probably get some tips.
All right,
You gotta
and
watch Toy
finally,
Story with Bo.
PSA from Singapore here.
Yeah, we are about 2 hours away from everyone freaking out with what has happened to their phone. So today at 11:20 a.m. here on the West Coast, there is going to be an alert that goes out on your phone. And I saw little bits of this. I read up on it this morning. It was announced earlier, and the government is doing a nationwide test of their emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts. And not just, you see it occasionally on TV. You get the emergency alert. This is only a test.
Scares you.
If this were an
We get
actual emergency,
But the
you
one
would-
on the phone scare you to death.
We
They're
get
loud.
the one.
They're loud.
We get it once a month here on our radio show. You'll hear it.
EAS test.
It freaks us out.
We're not
every
allowed to
single
play
time.
it to tell you what it sounds like, though. It's like illegal
Illegal,
for us
yeah.
to play
I
it
will not be
outside of an
playing it.
actual emergency.
Can you mimic it with your sound?
No, I don't think so. You're
that's
going to be
in
they'll
trouble,
come in
too.
and arrest
I
you
freak
right
out
away.
every
It's like
time.
the Michael Buffer thing.
Like,
Yeah.
I have an
Nuts.
iPhone. Every time it goes off for like an Amber Alert in the region.
Yeah, it's
It's
terrifying.
like freaks you out. You're like, what the hell is going
So
on?
it's coming today at 11.
11:20
11:20.
a.m. And it is just a test, but not just radio, not just television. It's going to be radio, TV, and every phone in America is going to go off at 11:20.
So
Should go well.
You don't have to do anything.
if
It's
this
just
ever
a
happened
test.
for real, then the aliens are invading, or the asteroid is about to hit. This is if they ever need to alert everybody on Earth at once. This is how they're going to do it.
Little a little creepy when you think about it.
They just want to make sure that the system works because
I got to go delete some browser history in my phone just in case.
If there was an actual emergency, you can't really test it at that point. You gotta just hope that it works. So they're gonna test it out. But yeah, if I didn't know that and my phone started going off in 2 hours, I'd be like, what is happening?
All right, that's news you can use with Paulie. Sing a Paulie.
Thank you, Paul. All right, our phone lines are still open, 833-288-0973 if you want to join us talking about the Padres, Bob Melvin, AJ Preller. We'll get to that after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Feel bad. I was just trying to tempt Woods. Didn't realize he was going so hardcore. Healthy. You do look better though.
Don't like to talk about it.
All right, we won't talk about it. But I was trying to tempt you.
I want to talk about my flair.
They're opening up your favorite ice cream brand store.
It's like 1B for me.
Oh yeah, you like what's the Texas one?
Well, grew up in Texas, so Bluebell ice cream. If you've never had it, it will bring you to your knees, right, Paulie?
Oh yeah,
it's staggeringly good, and they make that in a little creamery in Brenham, Texas, and they only have it in Texas and Arizona. So when we go to fantasy camp or we go to
I've
spring
never
training,
tried it, so I can try it in Arizona.
We'll
That's
do
good
it
to
next
know.
time.
Like a Vaughn's in Phoenix will have it.
They'll have it. It's
so
ungodly.
The one that I know and I like is from Santa Barbara. It's called McConnell's. You've
is.
probably seen it in the grocery store. It comes in a little
about
white.
$14.99 a pint.
Comes in a little white, a little half, whatever the small pint, 1 pint.
Pint, yeah.
Yeah, that's the little tiny, basically Ben and Jerry size.
So the guy says he has Bluebell in Virginia. Did not know that.
And they are opening their first brick and mortar here in San Diego today.
Right down the street, dude.
At the Forum Shops in Carlsbad, which is about 5 minutes from both Woods and where I live in Encinitas.
It sucks.
And they're actually going to be giving away free single scoops today between 4 and 8 p.m. Swag bags for the first 50 customers. I'm looking at the picture. They have their coffee ice cream, which is my absolute favorite.
They have
I love coffee
toasted
ice cream.
almond coconut.
I've
It tastes
never
like
heard of
it
McConnell's.
tastes like an almond joy. It's unbelievable. Their ice cream. They have a peppermint stick that is so good.
Yeah,
everything they do, and they're the only one I've really found close to Bluebell, and it's a different flavor. It's different, but
I grew up with Tillamook.
Tillamook's good. It's a little rich.
Tillamook strawberry and Tillamook peach.
You know the weird thing about Tillamook is they make cheese, and I really like their cheese. But anytime I eat their ice cream, I'm like, I taste cheese. It's weird because I'm so used to eating the Tillamook cheese when I eat their
love
ice
their
cream.
cheddar cheese.
It's
Tillamook
phenomenal.
is really good. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I take the shredded Tillamook and put it in my mouth like a chaw. It's so good.
McConnell's best-selling flavors include Turkish coffee, Eureka lemon, Marion berry, chocolate-covered strawberries, seasonal limited releases like their popular pumpkin caramel with candied pecans.
The place is unbelievable.
As
I
well.
cannot believe they're going to be down
The
the
line
street.
will be long, I would imagine. It's for free ice cream today, though.
I'm going to pass on.
Warn you. Good for you, though.
Pass on it, yeah.
Good for you. Let's give it out back out to the phone lines. Let's go to Chris calling in here. Wanted to talk Padres. Chris, good morning. Welcome to 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Big fan of your guys. Thank you so much for covering the Padres all year.
Thank you. Our
Must have been
pleasure.
tough.
Our pleasure. Our pain. All of it.
Yeah. Well, hey, season ticket holder, and I've been hearing a lot of phone calls about people calling in about AJ Preller, but really wanted to give my take on Bob Melvin.
Shoot.
I think he's a great manager, in certain situations, but over the last 2 seasons, and I was saying it last year as well, there's just a lot of mistakes that he makes, and I just don't feel like, the decisions that come down to, one-run games, that he's making the right decisions. For instance, I'll just go back to the Giants series. I think it was the Giants series when, we had pinch hit for Batten, and we put in Profar to pinch hit when Batten got to hit the at bat before that. I mean, I just feel like, every decision that he makes over the last 2 seasons, they've just been questionable decisions, and they usually don't work out in our favor. I feel like, ultimately it's the players' responsibility. They have to perform, and I would say it's about 50% their fault, 40% Bob Melvin's fault, and about 10% AJ Preller's fault. And I just wanted to voice that opinion. I think
it's a
Bob
fair
would be
one.
great on a team that doesn't have a lot of stars, but I don't think that he's got the train going in the right direction this season. And maybe it's his player-friendly mentality and not being able to get the stars on a team routine, and I'm just not sure.
No, it's fair. It's absolutely fair. And as we've said many, many times on the show, he's not immune to criticism. He has made some mistakes, but I mean, I think the thing that jumped off the page at me when he said that is like, hey, you pinch hit Jurickson Profar for Matt Batten. Look, I mean, decent bench pieces, both of them. But what are
That's
we
Bob
really?
Melvin's decision, but it's not his problem.
That's not his problem, right? Like, and again, I think Bob Melvin, which is not uncommon for managers to maybe. That was probably a matchup situation, righty. Jerkson's a switch hitter, right? You put Jerkson in there. I will say, I do watch the clips. I don't know if you guys have seen him on Instagram yet, but Will Clark, who's really annoying, but there's something kind of endearing. He's a huge jerk. I get it. There's something kind of endearing about him. Same with Eric Burns. There's something kind of endearing about him. They both point this out. They said, man, one of the many problems with baseball today, managers are afraid to ride the hot hand. They just don't do it anymore. Guy gets 4 knocks.
I heard a caller on Coach's show yesterday incensed that I think it was the day that Campy had 4 hits, and then
he was out of the lineup.
He was out the next day for Sanchez, going, Bob doesn't know what he's doing. How can you take the guy out?
I don't think that's on Bob, though.
When he's got 4 hits. And I will say that there's certainly something about riding a hot hand, and Bob rides hot hands. Absolutely. I've seen him do that. But we also saw him say many times all season, I got to get my guys more rest.
Yes.
I can't overwork them. We see what happens when I overwork them. The last month of the season, when the Padres played the best, they had more days off for their stars, necessitated because of Manny's elbow. And, they had Soto get more DH days. Down the stretch, everyone's tired.
When it didn't matter.
It was kind of forced on them. And lo and behold, they play their best baseball of the season. When you had more of those kind of B guys coming through, it actually did work out very well. So it's hard to criticize Bob for not riding the hot hand and trying to get guys rest when that was really what he was trying to do all season. But I think it was a good call by Chris, but I have to acknowledge, we as fans don't know what we don't know. My biggest criticism of Bob Melvin for the last 2 years was not being aggressive enough with his bullpen, specifically Josh Hader.
Correct.
Why are you not bringing in Josh Hader here in the 8th inning on this key? There's a lefty up, games on the line, playoffs last year against the Phillies. Why isn't Josh Hader getting into the game more? You should be aggressively using your best reliever, 6 outs, get him out there. Why aren't you doing it? Well, we find out, 2 years later, wasn't really Bob Melvin at all. Josh Hader had his list of the ways he can and cannot be used, and that was just the way it was going to be, and you can't force him in when doesn't really want to go in, so that's how they managed it. And that wasn't Bob's decision. That wasn't that you can't blame Bob Melvin for that in hindsight. That was
the other thing too is you're talking about, and Matt in the chat says Juan Soto played 162, killed it. Campy could play 2 in a row after missing most of the season. Sure, Campy's been injured a lot and he's gotten banged up a lot. That's the thing, as you said it, we don't know what we don't know. Campy could rip 4 hits, and Bob could have gone to him and said, "How do you feel? Do you want to swing it today? You DH?" My hammy's tight. I caught yesterday. Whatever it may be, those are the things that we will never know, and it only leads us to speculate on them. And when you do pitch the other idea, people get mad at you like you're an ardent Melvin defender. No, you don't know everything that's going on behind closed doors. But trust me, I will tell you this with 100% certainty, 100%. If you sat a manager down and said, "These are your 13 guys. Your starting 9 will play 162, okay? And everyone's going to stay healthy." You'd have the happiest manager alive on the planet, because they don't like having to make those decisions that could end up costing them a game. They don't do it willy-nilly. They don't do it because, maybe some do, but Bob Melvin isn't going to go, I don't really like the cut of his jib. I'm going to take him out of the lineup, right? I think some managers do that to younger players. They mess with them a little bit. I do think they have to earn their way and all that. But with the veterans and stuff we have, Bob Melvin doesn't. I don't think he makes moves just to make moves. There's a reason behind the madness.
By the way, guys do get hot. They're locked in. They're swinging well. There's no reason that a guy goes 4 for 4 one day doesn't mean he's going 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts the next as well. If the matchup is worse.
So then what do you do?
If the matchup isn't as good for that player, maybe he went 4 for 4 because you put him in a great position to succeed. Yeah. You rested him enough. You played him against a pitcher you knew he'd have success against. And then the next day, all right, this guy is tough on him. He's got a bad history against him. He took a foul ball off the knee, and he's kind of limping a little bit. Keeps him out of the lineup. Fans go crazy going, how could you not have the guy who was 4 for 4 in there yesterday? Well, if we used him that way, he wouldn't be going 4 for 4 every single day.
There's a certain, there's matchups, there's all kinds of stuff in baseball that makes the manager's job almost impossible. I mean, unless you run the table in October and win the World Series, everyone's going to call you a joke and go back and question and, say from their couch, oh, it was very clear what you needed to do, not having all the information. That's all we do as baseball fans is we make uneducated comments because we don't know exactly what's going on. And when you say that, people are like, you're a homer. And you're like, all right, well, I mean, it's if you really logically think about it, what manager would say, hey, this guy's hot, I'm going to sit him just because. There's usually a reason behind the situation, but they open themselves up to that criticism when they do things like that. And I think that's absolutely fair criticism.
All right, we're going to take one final timeout. Baseball fans, for behind-the-scenes coverage of the 2023 MLB postseason, check out Baseball Isn't Boring. It's host Rob Bradford's podcast, bringing you the biggest news from around the league every day. You can follow Baseball Isn't Boring on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Got more callers on the line. I feel like Bob Melvin is now the topic for the rest of the show. So we'll take your calls, 833-288-0973 when we come back on 97.3 The Fan.
That's a little spicy.
Well.
Well.
In the few moments that we've been gone, learning a little bit more.
Here?
A lot has happened.
Well, or nothing's happened yet. But the Padres did just inform everybody that they will finally be hosting that end-of-season press conference. It's going to happen today at 11:45 and will feature the GM and president of baseball operations, A.J. Preller. I can't tell you really anything more other than we will carry it for you live and commercial-free here on 97.3 The Fan. So tune in at 11:45 when presumably A.J. will let all be known about what has been happening at Petco Park the last couple of days and whether Bob Melvin is continuing on as manager of the San Diego Padres. I would strongly assume that based on the fact that he is the only person promoted in this news conference, that he is remaining as GM and president of baseball operations.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make him do a Zoom to say goodbye. Well, it's been real, guys.
Announcing my own dismissal. Questions? Anyone?
I find it strange that Bob Melvin's not going to be on this Zoom.
I was thinking about,
I don't know if they're sending a separate one for him later or tomorrow or something.
I was thinking about again, I brought it up for the 100th time, the Mariners one yesterday. They had Scott Service, they had Jerry DiPoto, and then some other dude I can only assume was like one of the owners or something.
I went through the archives. The Padres last year had A.J. Preller and Bob Melvin for a press conference in person.
So this is not a press conference. This is a Zoom meeting.
They're calling it a press conference.
A Zoom press conference.
You can ask questions if you're a accredited member of the media.
Am I
which
accredited?
is you, yeah.
Oh, God.
You actually could.
I think it's weird that Eric Grupner's not on this as the mouthpiece for the organization in Peter's absence. So I would maybe expect to hear from him. But it's just A.J. Preller. He's the only one listed.
Are you jumping on?
Yeah, I will jump on and listen in.
I'll be on that.
See what happens. We'll obviously carry it for you live here on 97.3 The Fan. Coach will then react to it.
Maybe I'll just
Gwen
listen.
and Chris will react to it.
Oh, I took camera off. I just listen.
I'll be eating.
Here's my hunch. When it comes to Bob Melvin,
be bed rotting.
if we weren't already convinced he was coming back, now that they've announced the news conference, if they were going to let Bob go or he was moving on, they would have told Bob by now. They wouldn't surprise him with a news conference without telling him.
Correct. I would imagine. Yeah.
Bob knows what his future is at this point. If he knows that he's gone, he's under no obligation to not say anything. So it would probably behoove him to tell people, like, I don't know, other organizations that I'm available to be interviewed. His friends,
It could have happened.
Which means it wouldn't take more than probably a few minutes to get that news out. So my presumption, just kind of the way my logical kind of brain works, is that Bob is staying because we would know if he was leaving by this point. Someone would know and someone would say something if Bob was leaving.
All will be revealed in 2 hours from right now. No more speculation, right?
It's hard to promise that on an A.J. Preller news conference. He rarely reveals all. There will be some information gleaned. How about that in a couple of hours?
Okay.
And there will still be other things that are wide open to interpretation and speculation.
Can't wait.
At this point tomorrow.
And we will be carrying it here live on 97.3 The Fan.
Thank you for reiterating. It's an important thing to
get
that message out there.
Yeah, just
live and commercial free right here on 97.3 The Fan, the home of the Padres.
Thank you for reiterating again, Paulie. Our phone line's open, 833-288-0973. We'll get back out to them blinking away.
We should sign off now and just get a breather before this press conference.
You ready to just take it to the house?
Yeah. I need to prepare.
Let's take it to traffic and see how you feel when we come back from Kelly Danick.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Hummel Casino. Looks like they're having to run a traffic break to get a stalled vehicle out of the fast lane, North 5 coastline, just before Loma Santa Fe, but a stall has been taken out of middle lanes on the southbound side near Leucadia. Southbound 5, just before 28th Street, there is a collision involving a couple vehicles. Does not appear to be blocking lanes. Hummel Casino is turning lucky number 7. Join the celebration on Saturday, October 7th with $25,000 hot seats, the Lucky 7 Surf and Turf Buffet, and the legendary Spinners live in concert on the rooftop. Learn more at HumulCasinoSD.com. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's keep it going out on the phone lines. Are you still here?
I have some friends texting me for the Zoom link. I cannot give you the Zoom link.
You cannot.
That would be that would be bad.
That would be inappropriate. Let's go to Mark. You were next up on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Good. You guys sound amazing in my new company vehicle.
Thank you.
I heard it there.
Thank
you get all the technology and everything.
Yeah. Hey, I'm calling you to tell you a story, a quick little story about my first experience as a Padre fan and when I became a Padre fan, and I still to this day I'm a Padre fan. Back in 1991, I sailed into San Diego on the USS Midway and decommissioned it in 1992. That year, I went to my first Padre game and had a 16-inning game against the Reds that we ended up losing 6-7. But the most special part about that game was Tony Gwynn cracked a foul ball over third baseline right into my glove.
That's special. That is very special.
So I got that put away. I mean, I'm getting a little emotional about it, but I love the Padres. I think the Padres have done a great job putting a team together. Let AJ do his thing. Let Bob do his thing. The players do their thing. Just represent the MLB the best that they can. And speaking of the best that they can, do you think that Trevor Bauer got a raw deal? I'm no Dodger fan, but I just think he totally got hosed.
You know, man, it's been such an interesting story. I watched the video from him, and when it all happened, it was obviously really disturbing. And you could only really report on what you saw and what you read. I will say, you know, based on the allegations that he's got out in this video and the evidence that I guess that they have now received, it certainly does look like this accuser painted him in a very different light than maybe we saw. The Dodgers, here's the thing that I read yesterday when I was reading up about it a little bit. The Dodgers and Major League Baseball both did their kind of independent investigation. Whatever they found was enough to give him the longest suspension ever. So, honestly, man, like, I tend to lean in the side of believe victims and believe all women because so few of these cases ever get prosecuted, ever, and they never go to court. It's hard to watch that video and not think that there was some sort of raw deal for Trevor Bauer, right? When you watch the video and he has video and text messages and things like that. Honestly, man, I wish I knew what to think. But I do think if I did also read, he wasn't exactly exonerated by the judge. So it's such a tough and awful situation, especially if he was completely in the clear 100%, yeah. I mean, that's obviously the definition of a raw deal.
But my immediate reaction was not so much, Trevor Bauer's telling the truth. It was more thinking about the damage that the whole situation is doing for victims and for victims in the future.
Yeah, and you hate to say the real victims, but I think that's, I think that's probably.
I don't trust Trevor Bauer like 100%. Like, is he sharing the whole story or just the bits and pieces that?
Because those are damning
make him look
pieces.
The best. Because if it truly was what Trevor Bauer argues, that he is the victim of this case, why has he not made that case to baseball? Overwhelmingly
ASAP.
and convincingly
ASAP.
to be reinstated immediately, because that hasn't happened. And if he has all the evidence that he says on his side and he's been exonerated fully, I would imagine the first thing I'd do is go to Major League Baseball, demand a retraction, an apology, and a reinstatement 100%.
He can play. He is, I think, now allowed to play, but no one has signed him, right? And so the whatever it would take a team to go and re-sign and sign him, and if they're willing to bring in that scene, it's weird because you see somebody made the point in the chat about Deshaun Watson, just no problem, just playing, and he was a minor suspension, right? What was this?
Yeah,
4 games?
No, he got a whole season.
Did he get a whole
Yeah,
season?
He got a whole season.
So he's playing. You see domestic violence guys play all the time. Like it's the worst part of sports. It really is. It's the worst part of sports.
Yeah. Why? I think we'll never truly know, what totally happened. But so I'm not qualified to really comment on the story one way or another. I wasn't there. I don't have all the information Major League Baseball has.
Ozuna's playing, Ozuna's playing it. We saw the video of that.
I don't know why Major League Baseball would want to treat Trevor Bauer harsher than anyone else. Did they have a vendetta against him for something that I don't know about? Let us know. I mean, if there was something that, hey, we've been out to get Trevor Bauer and we finally had a chance to get him. But for the most part, sports leagues want, star players to be playing if they can. And if there's a chance that they can show that, their guys didn't do anything wrong, they will do that. They're not in the business to, get their own guys in trouble and suspended. I guarantee you any commissioner, any manager, any GM would love to have no reason to suspend anyone and just say, hey, no, we didn't do anything wrong. We're good to go. They only suspend people at the last possible. Like, there's nothing else we can do, and we have to suspend him, right? Am I totally off base here?
No, I think you're dead on, But again, and Paulie makes a good point. You never want to take away from the veracity of someone's claim that they were sexually abused or assaulted ever. You never want to think about if it was your mom, your sister, your wife, your daughter, whatever, your girlfriend, whatever it may be. You see it all the time, and so few of those cases ever actually get resolved in a court of law. Yeah, I mean, look, I said it when it happened. I said we have to take our Padres glasses off and think about the victim and the potential victim. And if what we're seeing, these pictures and what we saw at the beginning were true, yeah, he's got to be done. He's got to be done.
I mean, I think in general, most people are fairly reasonable. And I hear people going, well, they had to suspend him because PR, if they didn't, it would just be it would be bad for the league.
But there's so many guys that are playing and have played.
And if they had convincing evidence that Trevor Bauer didn't anything wrong, you stand in front of everybody, you show, hey, this is what we have. We can't suspend him. We he showed us that this is not what it looks like, and we believed him. We interviewed all the witnesses, and we'll stand by him here. Then reasonable people come to the same conclusion. We don't have all the facts in this case. Major League Baseball had way more facts than we do.
Yeah, so did the LA Dodgers.
They all came to the conclusion that a massive suspension was warranted in this case.
Yep.
That's all I know. You want to get one more in here? We got Greg in Del Mar. Greg, welcome to 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, thanks, guys. A couple of things. Number one, the Padres can't touch Trevor Bauer because that was a San Diego girl.
Yeah.
From a PR perspective, it's just ugly, Although he would be a great fit in that rotation, I think. And plus, it's kind of weird, which is, kind of the anti-Dodger thing. But number two, I want to talk about Bob Melvin and A.J. Preller. Obviously, I mean, my understanding is A.J. Preller is kind of a control freak, right?
Yeah, that's what we hear.
Which is why he brought on 2 lackey managers, right, to do his bidding. And both were failed experiments. So that's why Bob was brought on, right? He was the antithesis to all of that. So the fact that there's conflict is surprising in no way at all. So I think when Peter Seidler says, look, we want to move forward with both, I think what he's saying is, AJ, this guy is the foil to what you want to do, which hasn't led to a lot of success. Shut up and listen to him.
Yeah, stay out of his way.
He's a good manager.
Yeah, stay out of his way. Let him manage. You general manage, and try to work together, for the good. Because, if you promised, you could absolutely hate one another. But if a World Series championship was promised, you'd figure it out. You would absolutely say, hey, there's a World Series championship waiting for you guys at the end. If you can just get through this next year, they're going to figure out a way to do that.
Generally, the best leaders will have someone who holds them in check a bit, who has a differing opinion, who challenges them, and doesn't just surround himself with people who agree with them all the time. Bob Melvin could absolutely be that for A.J. Preller. Make him a better general manager by, challenging him. You should have someone like that, at least one person in an organization.
Sure, but I think it's for every person. You have to want it. You have to want to be challenged.
Right.
You have to be accepting of it. It's not easy to do. I married one. Challenges me daily. But makes me want to be better. Makes me want to try to change.
And AJ has brought in people like that sometimes. Dave Cameron in the organization, but they didn't necessarily feel like they were then listened to. Like they were brought in. Bob Melvin was brought in, but are they actually being listened to?
That's a good way to break it down.
And is AJ, really giving that thought? Like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm still going with what I want to do. Or is, some of the time you have to acknowledge you're not going to be right all the time, and you've got to listen to your people sometimes and go, all right, this is not what I want to do. I do it a lot with you. It's not what I would do, but Woods, I trust him, and I think he wants to do this, and let's go with it. So, it's working so far. I'm going to keep rolling with that.
That's true. Very, very true. Oh, man, I'm nervous about this press conference.
Sure. We'll find out at 11:45. Tune in then. We'll have live commercial-free coverage here on 97.3 The Fan of A.J. Preller wrapping up the season, and any announcements, you'll get them here during the Coach John Quintero show, and then stick around. He'll break it down, and I'm sure take more phone calls. That's it for us. I'll guess I'm Ben Woods. Appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Fan Hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Should have plenty to talk about tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for Paul Reindl, Singapore, and